Disclaimer. This show is for discussion and entertainment purposes only. The Finding Gnosis Show is a platform for open discussion, exploration, and opinion sharing. The views expressed by hosts, guests, and participants are personal opinions and do not constitute professional, medical, legal, or financial advice. All topics discussed are only intended to spark curiosity, entertain, and encourage independent thought. If any subject interests you, we strongly advise conducting your own thorough research using reliable and professional sources. Critical thinking and due diligence is key. Stay curious, stay informed, be well, be lucky, and don't be an arsehole.
Through the cosmic indifference and through despair, we dig for meaning that might be there. No promises of comfort or bliss, just truths we strive not to dismiss. This is the Finding Gnosis Show, where illusions break and deeper truths grow. Philosophy and thought light the way through the dark toward a brighter day. Not endless struggle, but a fight worth the cost, seeking the meaning we thought was lost. Pessimism asks, why even try? We answer with questions reaching the sky. A critique of the systems, the myths we hold. A reflection on truths both stark and bold. Depressive realism clears the haze, while hope takes root in critical gaze. We search for a path, no matter how steep, to find the truths that lay buried deep. This is the Finding Gnosis Show, where illusions break and deeper truths grow. Philosophy and thought light the way through the dark toward a brighter day. Not endless struggle, but a fight worth the cost, seeking the meaning we thought was lost. Promise ease, we don't promise rest, but a journey to uncover what's best. In cosmic indifference we still find might, to question, to change, and to ignite. Welcome to Finding Gnosis, where truth takes a stand. Together we search, together we understand. Through reflection, critique, and bold exploration, we strive for meaning. The journey begins, the truth will unfold. This is the Finding Gnosis Show.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Finding Gnosis Show, number 18, and we'll talk today about minimalism and wise consumerism. Let the buyer beware. How to navigate this consumer society that we're in carefully, mindfully, and how to do so in a way that benefits you and yours, maybe society at large if we're lucky. There's a link in the chat if you want to come on, do so, please. And we'll see where this goes. So, yeah, I'm going to watch a video first of all, I think, on the dark psychological tricks that are used to manipulate us in advertising. Hello to Black Hole, brother. Do you want to come on here, my friend? Good to see you here again, as always. Always great to see you. So we will watch this one. Why not? How we are manipulated in advertising. So yeah, we'll have a look at that and we'll see what it says. Okay.
Dark
So,
psychology in advertising. How brands manipulate your mind. Welcome back to Dark Psychology, where we uncover the hidden forces that shape our thoughts and behaviors. Today, we're diving deep into the world of advertising, a multi-billion-dollar industry that uses psychological tactics to influence your decisions, often without you even realizing it. Let's explore how brands exploit human psychology to manipulate your mind, and why understanding these techniques is crucial for making informed choices. The power of persuasion. Advertising is psychological warfare. Advertising isn't just about creating catchy slogans or pretty visuals. It's a sophisticated science deeply rooted in psychology. Behind every ad lies a carefully crafted strategy designed to tap into the deepest recesses of your mind, influencing your thoughts and behaviors without you even realizing it. Marketers spend billions studying human behavior, emotions, and cognitive biases to create messages that resonate on a subconscious level. Their ultimate goal? To forge an emotional connection between you and their product, making it feel not just desirable, but indispensable. At the heart of this psychological warfare is emotional appeal, one of the most powerful tools in an advertiser's arsenal. Human beings are inherently emotional creatures, and research shows that emotions play a far greater role in decision-making than logic ever could. Advertisers leverage this fact by crafting narratives that evoke specific feelings, whether it's happiness, fear, nostalgia, excitement, or even guilt to sway your choices. Take, for instance, the world of automotive advertising. Car commercials rarely focus solely on specifications like fuel efficiency or horsepower. Instead, they paint vivid pictures of freedom, adventure, and self-expression. A sleek sports car speeding down an open road at sunset doesn't sell speed. It sells the idea of breaking free from routine and embracing spontaneity. Similarly, family-oriented SUV ads often emphasize safety, reliability, and protection, appealing to parents' innate desire to keep their loved ones secure. On the other end of the spectrum, cleaning product advertisements use emotional triggers tied to cleanliness and hygiene. Think about those detergent or disinfectant commercials showing spotless kitchens, gleaming bathrooms, and happy families living in germ-free environments. These ads don't just promise clean surfaces, they promise peace of mind, reassurance, and control over chaos.
control over chaos. So yeah, we have brother here, brother Black Hole. Black Hole has joined the show. Welcome, Black Hole. How are you doing?
Yes, I thought I saw you there. I just finished some videos. I thought I'd come on for just a little bit, and yeah, it's a good subject there. I was thinking about the
Yeah.
concept of money over the last couple of days, and just how you
Mm,
got to just be on good terms with everybody. And I always believe in the concept of just putting on, your best forward foot to help other people. I won't be on long because it's Monday and I'm trying to fill out some applications here. But I've always
right.
believed in that. It's just, the love of, having money. That's the problem. And a lot of times all the stress can really get to you and cause you to do things, and people will never forgive you. And it just, people need to just, lighten the load, and then people can help each other more freely. So I just want to start with that.
Nice ones. Nice words there, brother. Thank you for that.
I can
By
barely hear
associating
you.
products with feelings of safety and well-being, advertisers ensure that consumers view these items as essential rather than optional. Even food advertising thrives on emotional connections. Fast food chains frequently use mouth-watering imagery paired with promises of indulgence and reward. Late-night pizza ads, for example, aren't just selling slices. They're offering comfort, convenience, and a temporary escape from stress. Meanwhile, health-focused brands highlight vitality, energy, and empowerment, tapping into our desires for longevity and wellness. But emotional appeals aren't limited to positive feelings alone. Fear and guilt are equally potent weapons in the advertiser's toolkit. Insurance companies capitalize on fears of accidents, illnesses, or financial instability, urging viewers to safeguard their futures. Weight loss programs and beauty products exploit insecurities about appearance, convincing consumers that achieving perfection
The number one thing there is just trying to reel in,
is with
what it takes, even if it
So
means
say that again, Black Hole.
making the product seem better.
Say that again, brother.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, did you hear what I just said about just reeling them in and just
No,
being whatever it takes? The connection's a little bad in here.
no problem. Yeah, no, we didn't hear that. So you were just saying trying to manipulate people and reel them in any way to buy stuff.
Yeah, I was just.
Okay, Black Hole. We
I
can't
might
really hear
want
what
to
you're
come
saying.
back on later.
No problem, Black Hole. Divine Hazel, welcome. Prophet, welcome. Hope you guys can come on here and join us later.
what makes emotional appeal effective is its ability to bypass rational thought process. When you see an ad that stirs up strong feelings, your brain responds instinctively before logic has a chance to intervene. This automatic reaction creates a powerful association between the advertised product and the emotion it evokes, increasing the likelihood of purchase. In essence, modern advertising isn't about selling goods or services. It's about selling experiences, identities, and ideals. By understanding the psychology behind these tactics, you can begin to recognize when advertisers are attempting to manipulate your emotions and make more informed decisions as a result. But how far does this manipulation go? Let's delve deeper into some of the darker techniques employed in today's marketing landscape. Subliminal messages are controversial. Modern advertising isn't about services. It's about selling identities and ideals. By understanding the psychology behind these tactics, you can begin to recognize when advertisers are manipulate your emotions and make more informed decisions as a result.
So a lot of corporations are not your friend. So that's what I want to say tonight. Basically, it's very important to be savvy, to be aware of what you're purchasing. Do you really need it? You're being seduced into buying it. What can you learn from really being mindful of what it is you're actually doing when you're making a purchase? What thought process are you using? Are you being sensible? To really think about it, because life is hard. It's very hard to be a consumer. You do have to buy things. You do have to exist. We all have needs, but it's just about trying to meet those needs in a sensible fashion so that we're not financially damaged, or indeed our health isn't impacted, unnecessarily, because we have been seduced one way or another. Hello to Consumerist Vitalist. Hello there.
Good evening, VNW. Can you hear me well?
I can hear you better than I can hear myself on the screen, but that's not saying much because my microphone is atrocious. By the way, consumerist vitalist, what do you think of this topic? I just pulled it out of my arse today. So I hope.
Great topic because it's something that I struggle with very much. Being a child of the Western world, and especially raising children, like trying to be careful how, like, it letting them enjoy intellectual property while at the same time trying to make sure that they don't become oversaturated in nostalgia later in life, like our
Right.
generation did.
Yeah, yeah,
And so it's a thin line to walk. And I currently am dealing with basically a midlife crisis where I've gotten back into like collecting again. And it's through
yeah,
nostalgic intellectual property. And it's a very thin line to walk when you're telling your children, you know, you know, you don't want to have too many toys, but also Papa's got a whole fucking shelf of them,
yeah.
and
Yeah, it's that's the difficulty in being a parent. I'm sure is trying not to be a hypocrite, trying to, because we've all got our flaws, and sometimes we're trying to tell people, oh, don't do this, and they're like, but you do it, but and they're not old enough to know. Yeah, that's why you shouldn't be doing it. I've learned the hard way. I'm trying to tell you, but they just see you doing it, and because they respect you, they think it's okay. Then ultimately, because it seems they like you, obviously. So because they like you, I suppose they're not of an age yet where they can see that daddy can do bad things, for himself.
right, and sort of separating that concept of maybe having earned a little bit of a goodie or whatever, but at the same time, you do overstep the line because you know if you don't want to be a consumerist in this world, you have to be like Amish, and
Yeah, it's mm.
at
I
the
mean,
same time, you can like go
I
off the
think
deep
that's
end.
ridiculous. I think being Amish is silly. Like, I think you just have to try your best to find a happy medium, and that's what being savvy is about, But it is very difficult. It's not easy, It's not easy to be savvy. I mean, to become a Luddite, to become someone like an Amish person, I find that ridiculous because we do make progress for a reason, in society, because certain things are beneficial to us and our health and our well-being, and they are good ultimately. But it's just perhaps things around them that are bad, like the financial manipulation or the perhaps the lack of egalitarianism and access to products, which are products and services that are beneficial. These are the problems in society and consumerist culture, not necessarily always the products or the services themselves. You know what I mean?
Yes, and I think it's very perfect that we're freeze framed on the word psychology, because that's where things starts to get dangerous. That's where it goes from, I'm spending a little bit of extra money on a thing that I enjoy, to I'm being manipulated into thinking that I need things by people who want to take my money.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
your average person is very easily manipulated. We're all very easily manipulated,
We are all. Yeah.
especially by people who have, I mean, they've been studying this for a couple hundred years now.
Mm,
They really have it down pat. And the people who basically invented marketing about 100 years ago, they knew exactly what they were doing. They were
mm.
manufacturing, like the company manufactures the product and the marketing manufactures the need for the product. And
Yes,
then
yes,
they get
yes.
deep
Yeah, the
into
fact that
your
they're
brain.
not just selling you the product. They're not just selling the product. They're actually shaping your perception as a consumer before they even sell you it. Sometimes, you know what I mean? They're leading you
Yeah.
down the garden path, and it is quite scary. Jay says he agrees. We're all really manipulated. Yes. Well, Jay, hopefully you'll come on here, brother. Well, I'll press play on this video. It's only a small little channel. The video is called Dark Psychology and Advertising, How Brands Manipulate Your Mind.
But how far does this manipulation go? Let's delve deeper into some of the darker techniques employed in today's marketing landscape. Subliminal messaging, hidden cues that influence you. Have you ever wondered why certain logos are so memorable, or why specific colors dominate brand identities? Subliminal messaging plays a significant role here. While overt subliminal messages, like hidden symbols, are controversial and largely banned, subtle cues like color psychology, font choice, and imagery still play a powerful role. For instance, red associated with urgency and excitement, often used in clearance sales. Buy now. Blue evokes trust and reliability, commonly seen in banks and tech companies. Green, linked to nature and health, favored by eco-friendly brands. These small details add up, influencing how you perceive a brand before you consciously think about it.
Crazy, isn't it? Just basic things really influence how we perceive a product or service. I remember reading about this years ago when I was in university in consumer buyer behavior, and one of the colors that sometimes they use in advertising is yellow, because it's the one color apparently the human eye notices first when you're looking at a when you're looking at something and there's multiple colors. Yellow is often the color, or apparently is the color you noticed first.
That's often why in retail stores they use yellow on sale tags to draw your eye to it.
Yeah. I suppose it's why they use high vis jackets as well, for workers and stuff, because yellow stands out, or
Right.
cyclists or whatever. But yeah, it's interesting, all this subtle manipulation, kind of bringing you into perhaps a full sense of security or childlike state. It's almost like a hypnotic state, isn't it? Like, oh, red, this is urgent, this is something you need to buy, it's danger. It's almost like a danger thing, isn't it? Like, danger, if you don't buy this sale item, you're in danger. Your life is, perhaps endangered.
Well, the most interesting thing is to watch the way children shop. They shop by color. They're attracted to things. I mean, if they're standing in front of a bunch of slushy machines, they're going to pick the one which color most sets their brain off, and it's going to be something bright. It's going to be something vibrant, and red, a really bright blue always catches the eye of a kid. And then, of course, those are always the things with the bad food dyes in them. But
I don't even know if you can beat the system, that, because hello to Brother Marcus. I do hope you can come on here. I don't even know if you can beat the system.
No, you can't.
Because you'll get marketeers saying, yeah, there's also going to be a segment of the market that are aware of the kind of naffness of, overt color, fucking seduction. And what we're going to do is we're going to give them subtle tones so that they think they're not being seduced by the coloring. So basically, if you rebel at overt forms of manipulation in advertising or marketing, there will be some other marketeer that is knows you're doing that, and is getting you in through that kind of way of thinking, if you know what I mean. I mean, you just can't. But what it's all about, is trying to be aware of ultimately what you actually need, and that's kind of hopefully later on. I talked about minimalism and the benefits of tightening a little bit back and just being more aware of what you actually need to function as a human being and what you don't need, cutting out the excessive. I mean, we can all benefit from that financially, but also in terms of space, the homes, and just even time. Time is important. I mean, you can utilize your time to do other things, like spending it with the people you care about, exercising, going out into nature, whatever it is you want to do, your hobbies, instead of bloody shopping, If you're more mindful of your shopping habits, you can be very laser-like. You can say, well, I only need this, this, and this. I'm only going to buy this and this, and therefore it cuts out a whole load of unnecessary browsing time where you will be endangered, where you might be seduced to make impulsive purchases or things you don't need. I mean, I've been so guilty of that in the past on Amazon and on even Temu. I don't use Temu anymore, but definitely on Amazon, I've been a terrible consumer, like reckless, buying things I don't need just because, oh, that looks cool, I could do with that. But, at the end of the day, I did without it just as much as I could do with it. I actually managed very well without it, I think a very important question to ask yourself is, am I coping without this item? What would you say, Brother Prophet here? what would you say is a good question to ask when you're about to buy something, or when you're being seduced perhaps to buy something, or when you notice you like something that's being advertised to you? What's a good question to ask yourself?
Well, especially if something's being advertised to you is what do I really need this for? What does this bring to my existence? And as you said, most of the consumer things don't really bring anything to your existence. You need your clothes. You need clothes, but you don't need fancy clothes. You need durable clothes. You need a
Yeah,
place to live that is going
yeah,
to, keep you warm, and then you need food.
yeah,
And so, what you really, really need in the world, if you want to be monk-like, is very, very minimal. But then we run into this problem of the dopamine interaction, where you one of the reasons people buy things they don't need is because it just brings them joy. It brings them a thrill in the moment.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
so moderating that is that's the question you should ask yourself. Is
I at this juncture, one of the things I noticed is getting those, like we have this app over here called Olio, Olio. You know, these kind of thrifting apps where you can buy stuff secondhand, people give away stuff for free.
uh,
It's kind of, do you have those? I'm sure you do. It's kind of like browsing Amazon, but it's like free or very cheap stuff,
yeah,
that people are selling second. And sometimes it's really useful, like tools, bits of computer hardware, home items. As I said, tools. I bought a lot of different tools on there for DIY and stuff. And sometimes the prices, you really do get bargains. As I said, sometimes you get free stuff as well. So it does give you the kind of consumer experience if you're getting your dopamine hits from. But I would say, yeah, less harmful. But then again, you have to be mindful of how much time you're wasting on that. Because at the end of the day, it can turn into an addiction. And that is the other side to all of this. Consumerism is the addictive nature of it. What hole are you trying to fill? Why are you spending so much time browsing for things?
yeah. And then it gets to a point where I'm sure you've seen the shows about hoarders and
Mm,
people who
mm,
just can't even throw away a packet of like a snack cakes that's been moldy for
yeah,
12 years.
I know.
And it really starts to worm into people's brains. And it's like, at what point does, like, say something like collecting become
Yeah,
hoarding? At
I
what
mean,
point does it become unhealthy?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I used to be very sentimentally attached to things for nostalgic reasons, right? Things that I had, belongings. Uh, but then I started gathering too much shit, and it was very hard for me. But I started having this 6 month rule. Okay, I'm very kind of utilitarian in my possessions now. They kind of have to have a use, right? And now I do keep things for sentimental reasons, but not as much. Okay. And I generally ask the 6 month rule question. So, have I used this item in the last 6 months? If not, I really start a very serious questioning of the validity of keeping it in my possession. You know, um, Now I understand that's hard for a lot of. It's not applicable in all items. Because some items, like Christmas decorations, you'll only use once a year. But it is important to ask that question: of your possessions, are they beneficial? To you, even not only the ones you're about to buy, but the ones you have. Uh, because I definitely find personal benefit in it, whether this feng shui is real or what. But they're kind of the positioning of furniture, the positioning of items in my room, cleanliness, tidiness. Definitely, when my room is on point, I feel much better in myself. Now, I will say there's a happy line, a happy medium here as well, because too clean and it becomes unnatural, it becomes clinical. So it looks like it's unlived in. I believe there's a line. It has to look lived in, has to look utilized, but it can't be too cluttered, and I think that's kind of related to it has to look lived in, because if you have too much stuff, too much clutter, well, the truth is it's not beneficial to living. You're not using those items in your everyday living. So ultimately, yeah, it doesn't look lived in. What looks lived in is something that's got a certain ease about it. Okay, and so both states, whether it's clinically sparse or overly cluttered, do not offer that kind of ease of living. Anyway, we'll keep going unless Brother Prophet has something to say.
No, keep it rolling.
Scarcity and social proof, creating urgency and trust. Two other key principles in dark psychology. Advertising are scarcity and social proof. Scarcity creates a sense of urgency by suggesting that something is limited or exclusive. Phrases like limited time offer or only 3 left in stock trigger fear of missing out. FOMO, pushing you to act quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny. This is like online shopping is saturated with, 2 left in stock, trying to make you afraid that you can't get the item. But, generally the item is on offer 24/7, 365 days a year, not only on that website, but on possibly even hundreds of websites, and the truth is a lot of these companies have just-in-time inventories. So basically, inventories, sorry. So just as you can get the item the next day to your home, they can also often get the item next day into their stock. So there's a lot of kind of, let's just say, stretching off the truth going on in the online shopping world, making it look like things are scarce when they're not. Also, on the kind of scarcity thing, on the kind of things like resources, gold and diamonds. What's your take on that, Brother Prophet? Like, how humans have this tendency to value scarce things, extremely highly when they have a certain quality. So, like gold and diamonds. I mean, have you ever watched these auctions when they auction off, say, a diamond or whatever for millions and millions of dollars, or a little gold nugget, or whatever it is, a piece of jewelry? What do you think of those auctions? What's your first kind of thought? For me, I'm kind of disgusted because I just can't believe that humans put so much value in these things, and it's kind of like tying up money that could have been spent, in my view, on benefiting society. But I don't know. Do you have an opinion on that? You're muted. I suppose you're busy. But yeah, I just noted I probably made a mistake there, because I don't know if you can actually tie up money ever in a market, because if the person who's spending money on the gold, for example, or the jewelry, that money is going to someone else. So yeah, it's not necessarily true that you tie it up, because the money is going to somebody else when they purchase it, and that person has the ability to spend the money where they want to. I just still find it very strange how people spend money on things like diamonds and such, to such an extravagant amount,
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing where, like, that's our sort of anti-consumerism, is we're not really into that kind of stuff, and I can't find the value. I mean, there is value in a diamond. It's useful for many things, and it's
Well,
can be
yeah,
used as
it's
a
useful for a
component.
diamond saw. It's got great cutting potential. You make a diamond
Yeah,
tip saw out of it. But I mean, as a bloke,
all
that's
kinds of
all I
stuff.
like.
There are a
Yeah,
lot
yeah,
of industrial applications for things like gold and diamonds and stuff too. But
yeah,
it's like, yeah, the inflated sense. I mean, well, gold is an especially interesting case because it's been used as a store of currency like deep into antiquity, maybe even into prehistory. And
yeah.
it's like, why did we choose this particular substance? I guess it's easy to determine whether or not it's counterfeit is one reason.
Mhm.
And it is abundant enough while also being pretty rare. And that's kind of
Yeah,
another thing, like that we mark a value on things depending on how rare it is. That you run into this with collectibles all the time, like you were talking about the false scarcity. Like these companies will make tens of thousands of these toys and then put them out in like these little pulses where it's like you have to be online at 12 o'clock on Friday for the drop, for the pre-order.
yeah,
And then people line up and they buy 5 of them, you know what I mean? And then they're on eBay for $400 the next week. And it's
yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. And it's just plastic shit. It's literally sitting in a bin in China. I talk about it
right.
all the time in my stupid little videos about how it's like we put so much value on the shit as collectors, and literally there's just some guy in China, like he's got a flu and he's like coughing over it, you know what I mean? It's just a bit of like 10,000 of that, action figure that you think is so valuable, and it's not. And so the scarcity angle is a very interesting aspect of it, especially we live in an economic system that is post scarcity, it's post fiat. It's there's literally numbers in a computer, and we just say, yeah, that's why I never invested in Bitcoin when I first had the opportunity, like way long ago, because I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just gonna like dump 5 or 6 grand into some hole in the internet, and then some stranger's gonna give me back $100,000 in a couple years. That's bullshit. That's crazy.
I mean, it is crazy. I mean, it's completely emotion led. It's completely illogical, but that's humans for you, and it does make people rich. And as you say, cryptocurrency is an extreme example of how humans just have this insane emotion-led consumption mannerism, and it does make people extremely rich, and I often question like the utility of businesses. What are they adding to society in terms of value? And I think that in this kind of consumerist age we're in now, it's becoming even more of an issue, I believe, because they are highly able to manipulate us into purchasing. For example, Starbucks or McDonald's, and they are profiteering off us because they know how to pull our strings, but they're not really paying much back into the system. So it's a huge problem from both ends. They're manipulating us into purchasing, into buying, but we're not actually getting anything back at the end in terms of taxes and stuff, depending, I suppose, what country you're in. So huge problems all around. Anyway, we'll keep going.
Social proof, on the other hand, relies on the idea that people look to others for guidance. Testimonials, customer reviews, and influencer endorsements all work because they make you believe that if others trust.
Do you think they still work? I think they still work, even though I know a lot of them are fake. They still work. There's not much else to go by. When you're looking, when I go on Amazon and I buy shit or whatever website I'm on, I do look at the customer reviews, the star ratings, and I suppose the more there are, the more likely they are to be real. But I have heard stories about like review farms in different parts of the world where companies are paying people to give fake reviews, and they're like, as a company, it's worth your while, like literally paying people to buy your product and review it. Even if, say, your product costs £20, you give them £20 to buy it, and then you give them another £20 to give a good review. It's worth your while doing that, because as soon as you hit a certain amount, well, the algorithm's going to pay you back 10 times as much,
Right.
So I don't know how they deal with that. I don't know what they do to try and police that, but Amazon say they do try to stop it, but I reckon it's quite hard. I reckon the kind of more deceptive business people out there have figured out ways to manipulate us using third-party testimonials, and they're making a killing of it.
Trust the product, you should too. Both tactics tap into primal instincts, bypassing rational thought and appealing directly to your subconscious. Neuroscience meets marketing, the science behind ads. Modern neuroscience has revolutionized the advertising industry by providing marketers with tools to understand and influence consumer behavior at a deeper level. Techniques like eye tracking studies, brain imaging, and facial recognition software allow advertisers to analyze how people react to visual stimuli, sounds, and even product packaging. For instance, eye tracking technology reveals which parts of an ad capture attention first, helping designers optimize layouts for maximum impact. Brain imaging, fMRI, shows how different elements of an ad activate various regions of the brain, such as those responsible for reward, fear.
Oh, this is just fucking horrible, isn't it? I mean, But it's happened. It's happening, and as I say, I don't think you can beat it. We've come so far. What would you do about advertising de-profit if you were in charge? I know it's a big question, but
I might ban it.
you might ban advertising.
I might ban it because I mean, actually, I have a couple of funny stories regarding advertising for you. One of them has to do with lasagna. Uh, so my son, we kind of dropped all of like the subscription stuff that we had. So now my son gets to see ads for the first time when he watches things on television. And he made a comment. He and his sister were learning how to do dishes, and he said something about how Dawn Power Wash cuts through the grease quicker than other soaps or something like that. He said like he's got a great memory, and it came right off the
Yeah.
commercial. Down Dawn Power Wash. And he was
Wow.
he had this very positive view of Dawn Power Wash because at the end in the end of the commercials they talked about how they used it to help the environment during oil spills and stuff, and he said they cleaned the ducts with it. And I said to him, buddy, the first thing you got to learn about advertising is that they're lying to you. And he was like, they're lying. I'm like, yeah, they might not be lying about the ducts. They might not be lying about how effective it is in cleaning dishes, but they are lying to you, telling you need it in the first place. The idea that you need it in the first place is the lie, and then everything else comes afterward, and they can tell you whatever they want afterward to make any claims or whatever. So he, a little while later, he asked me something about another commercial, and I said, well, what do we know about commercials? What do they do to us? He said they lie to us. I'm like, good, you picked it up. It's still in the back of your brain. But anyway, another thing he said. What did he say? Oh man, I wish I could remember it exactly. But he said something like, "Saved by the healing power of lasagna," or "Saved by the power of lasagna," or something like that. And I was like, "What? Have you been listening to the Do Not Watch stream and listening to my lasagna theory? Like, what are you talking about?" Well, he had seen a commercial with Garfield, the cat that eats lasagna.
Yeah.
And the cat had made some kind of comment about the infinite power of lasagna.
It's obviously de-profit. It's obviously some kind of weird genetic memory that's in your DNA, actually passed on to him.
Exactly.
Profit infatuation with lasagna. There's a genetic basis for it, apparently.
It is. It's probably the reason we all have tummies. But so my point being that when you watch how children shop, they absorb this information from marketing without question, and your average consumer kind of does too. They think that these companies they think that up front they've got their best interests at heart, and if they don't, there's some governmental organization that is being run through that will make sure that they're complying and everything's safe, and that there isn't anything carcinogenic in your dish soap. And that's bullshit. These companies pay a lot of money to lobby the government to allow them to put garbage in all this shit.
Right. I mean, look at that aspartame. Apparently, that shit's fucking lethal, and they even came out and said it recently, like last year or the year before. They said it literally dissolves your DNA or something, but they haven't done anything about it, have they? It's
the studies are finally catching up to what us, crunchy hippies always knew about food dyes and stuff.
I say that as I drink a swig of an aspartame-filled soft drink. I
right. That probably has. Well, actually, you probably don't have food dyes because your government has been smarter than our government in allowing that stuff in the food. But in this country, you can literally put dyes into food that A, will make children want to eat them just by looking at them, and B, will give the children ADHD. Like that's one of the reasons why kids have attention deficit disorder, because they're pumped full of food dye substances that give, and you can see it. Our kids don't get a lot of that stuff. When they do get it, when they get something with blue dye in it, they're fucking off the wall, dude. It is insane.
Wow. I mean, I don't think this is the case. I don't think it's this evil, but I imagine people with ADHD-like brains are more susceptible to advertising because they don't think beyond Like they don't really. Sometimes, I mean, I say this as someone with that probably that type of brain. I'm just saying maybe they don't have the attention span to think beyond what is on the screen in front of them. So maybe they are more predisposed to being impulsive. I don't know.
Well, and that's why a lot of
They,
advertising, especially these days, is so frenetic. It's cut, cut, cut,
they,
and then
yeah, they do say people with ADHD are more likely to be impulsive. That is actually a symptom of a lot of people with ADHD. So yeah, no, it's probably true. Um, so yeah, that's probably. I don't think that's by design, but it might be unfortunate that we are living in the age of shortened attention spans. Because of social media and stuff, and maybe that is helping consumerism be even worse. Maybe people are being more impulsive. Making more impulse buys. I mean, I look around my own place and I just think, how much shit do I have compared to when I grew up as a child? I was fine as a child in my parents' house, and we didn't even get a microwave until quite late. We were really fucking backwards. Microwaves, when did they come out? In the 70s or something? And we didn't get one until fucking, I don't know, the 90s sometime, And and we only got that because my cousin bought it, So I'm just saying, we didn't have much stuff, we had books, we had a hi-fi system, we had a VHS player, and then we had a DVD player, but
well, I mean, you guys had just survived World War II, so I mean, obviously you didn't have much.
I'm not that old, but the point is, we have a lot less, and I have a lot more now. But I just can't believe how much stuff I have in comparison to my childhood. What about you and my parents?
Yeah, I mean, we just moved, and yeah, we try to be, except for obviously I have a collecting habit with records and stuff like that and figures, but we try to be pretty minimalist in that we don't own stuff that doesn't have some kind of function. And we just moved twice, and my God, the amount of shit that just one little family has is absolutely incredible. Even if you just really keep things that are useful, and of course, my girlfriend has a huge sewing studio worth of stuff. She makes custom clothes for people, and I have tons of records and tools, and I still have some of my butcher stuff from when I ran my company and whatnot. But just the amount of things is so high. It's like, do we really need more than like forks and spoons and a few plates? That's the other thing. Just running dishes for a family without a dishwasher. Holy shit. We cook almost everything. We don't eat out at all. So the amount of dishes that one family can have, just one family, and that has to be clean day in and day out. It's so much shit. But that's the kind of trade-off that you have for modern comfort. If you want to be able to have a fucking casserole dish that you can make an apricot pie in, you need to own the casserole dish, and it needs to go somewhere.
Right.
It needs to,
Right. Yeah. It's you're absolutely right, and it is mind-boggling how much stuff we have, even in the kitchen, as you say, utensils. I mean, utensils, gadgets, gizmos. I mean, you have something for doing this, something for doing that in the kitchen. But in the old days, they should have a knife and a fucking whisk, and a fork or whatever. They did a whole lot of shit, So sometimes I think there's a tipping point though, because you have so many gadgets that it becomes, you have to clean them afterwards, and they're very good at doing what they do, but a lot of them are really shit at being able, the cleaning part is really hard. Did you ever notice that with these gadgets in the kitchen? They're really good at they're really good at whizzing or fucking blending or whatever the fuck it is they're doing, but fucking cleaning off them, I mean, it's really, really difficult. So
when the first time we moved, it was basically across the country, and we had to really call it on a lot of the kitchen stuff, because it's like, do we, a jerky dehydrator, do we need that? And then there's like a air fryer, do we need that? Do we use that? Is it useful? And kitchen is where you really get you, because there is so much cool stuff that you can buy for your home kitchen for relatively cheap. kitchen appliance for $25 on Amazon. But then, like you said, it's got all these bits and pieces. You dry a bunch of fruit into fruit leather, and then you got to clean all these damn, you know what I mean? Or use parchment paper, use something else to make
Yeah.
sure that it doesn't get clean or doesn't get dirty.
I mean,
We have a really nice blender, but it takes, like you said, like it's a pain in the ass to get in there and clean it.
yeah, and they always got some little design flaw where like there's a little bit where the fucking goo off the fucking whatever you blended just hides, and it's fucking impossible to get out. I mean, another thing I fell into the trap of buying was, those little. There's always like these mechanisms for fucking cutting your salad up, and I bought a few of those, and they're another thing. They got all these little different parts to them. You put this on for cutting a fucking tomato into whatever size segments. Another bit for cutting cucumber. Another bit for shaving whatever it is you want to shave into little pieces. But yeah, it's again really hard to clean. And I've just gone back to a chopping board and a sharp knife now for my fucking kitchen for chopping shit, because everything else is just fluff and unnecessary, And anyway, enough about that. One thing I did want to say though about the moving thing, I've moved a few times, and did you notice that there comes a point where you literally have boxes of shit, like stuff you like, kind of you kind of feel guilty for carrying it with you, because it's like little bits and bobs of crap like that you should throw out, like wires and little bits of something that broke, perhaps. Like the bottom drawer kind of stuff in a cabinet.
Bottom drawer stuff, exactly. Each room ends up with a random box.
Yeah. So you end up like having boxes full of fucking shit, and you're like, should I take this? Oh, you really hum and haw over it. I mean, whenever I move, I found it a good time to really get rid of shit.
Oh, that's the best time.
Yeah. It's so funny though, because one man's rubbish is another man's gold. I mean, I left an ottoman outside once when I moved, and it was full of what I thought was absolute crap, and it went like then someone took it all, So there's always a market for your stuff, whether you know it or not, someone wants it, Anyway,
well, quite literally. I mean, before we moved, we had all kinds of farming stuff that we had to get rid of, and we funded quite a bit of our move just by selling all the extra stuff that we had, because we went from the wilderness basically to a more urban place.
Yeah. How have you found the move then from the countryside to back to a more urban environment?
Well, we are lucky to live in a very nice and safe American city, in a good part of it, and it's really I'm enjoying it more than I thought I would. I do miss having chickens, and especially in the era of such expensive eggs, which obviously you don't have to deal with. It's nice to have some birds around. I didn't realize how much kitchen scrap we threw away. We didn't throw anything away. We fed it all to the chickens. So now we're starting to compost. We have a little yard and everything. We can compost and have a garden. It's not like we live in downtown LA or something, which I would absolutely fucking hate. So it's urban enough. There's stuff for the kids to do. There's stuff for the family to do, but it's also suburban, but not in kind of like that. It's not cookie cutter.
Were you near the fires? Were you near the fires? Any of the fires that happened?
No, that was all in California. That was all in California. 100 miles away. Yeah. I'm not that close to the west. I won't dox myself, but I am.
No, don't. Sorry. No, I don't want you to. Yeah, okay. We'll keep going.
Or desire. Facial recognition measures emotional responses in real time, allowing advertisers to fine-tune their campaigns based on audience reactions. Consider this. A luxury perfume ad might feature a glamorous celebrity surrounded by opulence. It's not selling fragrance, it's selling the lifestyle, status, and allure associated with it. Your brain connects the dots, convincing you that buying the perfume will bring those same benefits into your life. By activating the brain's reward centers, advertisers can make products feel irresistible. Ethical boundaries. When does persuasion become manipulation? While some psychological tactics are harmless and designed to enhance user experience, others raise serious ethical concerns. Here are a few examples. Exploiting insecurities. Many beauty and fitness ads prey on insecurities related to appearance, weight, or aging. They create demand for products by making consumers feel inadequate unless.
And the crazy thing is, these marketeers, it goes both ways now. So they're saying, "Oh no, you need to be really skinny." Then on this, like on a different channel, they're saying, "Embrace being overweight, really obese, morbidly obese." You know. So do you know what I mean? Like they don't really have morality. These marketeers a lot of the time, they're just trying to appeal to whoever they're trying to sell it to. You know, sell whatever they're
Right.
Watching a video with AI teaching about human behavior is trippy. Yeah, this is that channel. I don't know if they created the script or whatever, but it is a AI generated voice. Good point. But you know, that's another thing to think about. AI is going to be manipulating us as well in, you know, in our consumer buying and behavior habits. And what they just mentioned here about, you know, cameras watching what you're focusing on, your facial recognition in a supermarket. I mean, these smart TVs, smartphones. I don't know if any of them are doing this, but you know, being able to track your retina to see what you're looking at. I mean, this is fucking scary shit, but it's happening. The other side to it is we've got brother social experimentalist here. Hello, brother Daniel. We're talking about consumerism, your favorite topic, brother Daniel. In fact, some of my favorite videos of yours, which I think you should do more of, is when you go to really kind of Ponzi shops around London, and you ask people what the fuck they're doing there. Why are they buying this shit? You know, and I've yet to see any of them give you a good answer. Have you ever seen those videos, D Prophet, of Daniel when he goes to these, you know, upmarket shops and just asks them what the fuck they're doing?
No, I mean, what do you mean by that? What kind of things do they sell in those shops?
Well, just you know, bags, things like bags.
Oh, correct, yeah.
I go into Burberry's in central London, big shop, and I just start saying out loud, "What the hell's going on here? These bags,
Yeah.
you can get a bag in supermarket for 50p.
Yeah, spend $10,000 on a fucking rag."
I know.
Yeah. I mean, the craziest ones are those tote bags that cost like fucking £50 or something, and it's like this. Some of them are just really basic plain bags with "this is a tote bag" written on it, and apparently that's like super cool, you know. And they spend fucking 20 quid on it. It's just like a plain bag with "this is a tote bag" written on the side of it, and you know, some young girl buys it and is walking around thinking she's cool because of it. But so, Danny, we're talking about consumerism, basically how we're being manipulated by advertisers and marketeers to buy things often that we don't need. Have you got any, we might talk about minimalism as well. Have you got any views just from the outset? You popped on here. How do you control your buying habits? How do you control your what it is that you become seduced into buying? Are you really a mindful consumer? Is it something you put a lot of thought into? Are you careful? And if so, when did this? Have you always been like that, or is it a change that came to you in life?
It depends what you're talking about. When it comes to food, I'm not very good when it comes to food. I fall right into their traps, and I buy. You know, I spend quite a lot of money on food. But when it comes to other things, I don't really buy many clothes. If I buy clothes, it's usually from charity shops.
Danny, Jay says you got to turn your volume up or speak into the microphone because you are quite faint.
Hold on a minute.
Hold on. Put your megaphone against the microphone, please.
Is that better? Is that better?
Yeah.
No? That's not better?
That is better. That's better. Yeah.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I mean, you taught me something actually a couple of years ago, which is this idea that, you know, we don't choose what we want. We don't choose our desires, and that the desires are, you know, are pumped into us. I just remember just a couple of days ago, I was driving in town, or cycling in town rather, and I saw I think it was an advert for an ice cream or something, and it said, "You want me, you want me," right?
I mean, sometimes it's as basic as that, and it still fucking works. And
I
the
know,
worst thing is, not only is it working, but some cunt's getting paid extortionate amounts of money for coming up with that shit. You
I
know.
know,
But yeah,
I
go
know.
ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, so like you taught me that, you know, that how much free choice do we really have? Because we don't choose what we want, you know. And I've
Yeah.
covered that actually, sort of on the odd occasion that on the
Yeah.
odd occasion in the last year or two.
I've seen
Sometimes,
you outside King's Cross doing that,
yeah,
right? You talk.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
It's really good. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. And you know that applies to having children as well. You know that
Mm.
where do we get that desire from? You know, we don't choose to want to have children, we just want to have them. And where does that come from? And the same thing, you know, the same thing with like smoking, for example. Yeah. I don't choose not to smoke because I don't have the desire to smoke, right?
Mm.
And someone who does choose to smoke doesn't choose to want, don't get up in the morning and think, I think I'll want to smoke today. They
No,
just have
no.
that desire, and those
Yeah.
desires have been either planted in us or they come from our DNA.
Hmm. 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 I mean, I like what D Prophet says about things now. I mean, he talks about our thoughts are not real, and it's related to like what we say about free will. We are experiencing life, yeah, and we're experiencing what is happening. We're not necessarily in control, but D Prophet sometimes thinks we are. But he makes a good point that your your thoughts are not your own.
By the way, there's a
What
lot of
you've
crackling on your voice.
Sorry about that. I'm going to fix this very soon, guys. Your thoughts are not your own. So it's about being aware that your thoughts are not your own. Some of them are like demons. Some of them are angelic. Some of them are not there to help you, and some of them are there to hurt you. Some of them are there to benefit you. Okay. So it's about being aware of the fact that your thoughts are not your own and questioning your own thoughts. Is this thought I'm having beneficial? You know, uh, like
Yeah,
not just being aware of what is happening, but being aware of your own thoughts and questioning your own thoughts. Now, D Prophet often talks about that, and he talks about it very well. Do you know what you've been saying that lately, D Prophet?
Yeah, because sometimes I feel like I say things to myself that I would never say to myself. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? And why are you saying that to me? And it leads to this wider idea, like, you know, why advertising works so well on us, because all that you need to have a thought is just a seed of an idea. And then an entire thought explodes out of that. And you're only a partially active participant in that scenario. You're almost watching it unfold before you. You have to be really, really aware of whether you're actually speaking to yourself or if there's some kind of thought speaking to you and you're listening.
it's funny you say that because I did a whole interview with this guy called Glenn Livingston, who teaches he's got this course in which he helps people deal with eating and overeating. And what he does is he creates this kind of mythical part of yourself, like a pig or an animal part of yourself, yeah. And he gets you to like speak to yourself in the like second person. So, you know, so for example, I might go out and I'll see, you know, I don't know, some crisps or some chips or some cake, and he'll get you to say, um, you know, something like, "Hey, you want that cake? You want that cake? Not I want the cake, but you want the cake." And then he gets you to like refute that, that argument, because often that part of ourselves is very deceptive. It's right. It says like, you want the cake, but it doesn't tell you that after you have the cake, you're going to feel really crap. Yeah. And so in this system of his, he gets you to sort of question that part of yourself and to externalize it and speak to yourself in the second person, instead of thinking that this is you actually speaking.
Yeah, and that's key. Is like, these thoughts is not you, but what is perhaps you is the one that's analyzing them and wonder like. But then you could go down a rabbit hole or say, well, yeah, but my analysis is our thoughts as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, the
And
thing is,
those,
I think the
yeah,
point is that for practical purposes, it can be very effective to just externalize that thought of yourself, that those thoughts, that they're not you, and that perhaps to relate to the you as the higher part of yourself, or as the
right.
unconditioned part of yourself, or as the human, the human part of yourself. Because the human, if you were to stop for a minute, or I can speak about myself, if I'm able to stop and think, hold on a second, do I really want that cake? Do I really want that? And am I aware of how I'm going to feel after the cake? Then I won't have the cake.
Very good points, and it is very difficult, but we must persevere and try.
They buy them. This approach can lead to negative self-image and low self-esteem. Targeted advertising. With advancements in data analytics, companies can now deliver highly personalized ads based on browsing history, location, and demographic information. While this increases relevance, it also raises privacy concerns and makes users feel surveilled. Addictive design. Social media platforms and mobile apps use similar psychological tricks to keep users engaged longer. Features like infinite scrolling, notifications, and gamification exploit the brain's craving for instant gratification, leading to compulsive usage. Children as targets. Children are particularly vulnerable to manipulative advertising due to their developing cognitive abilities. Cartoon characters, bright colors, and fun jingles often mask unhealthy food choices or expensive toys, influencing.
This reminds me, Danny, you went to the M&M's shop, isn't it, in Leicester Square, and you often
Yes.
go down there, and that's a really good one because they got those cartoon characters, haven't they, for that? And you're like questioning, like, what the
Yeah.
fuck are you doing? Like, seriously, I don't know, why the fuck would you go? Why is that essential kind of? Why is that in a prime real estate location in London where there's loads of tourists? Like, people come here from America or whatever, and they go to the fucking M&M store. Like, what the fuck are they doing with the time? I mean,
No,
seriously.
and it's not that, it's not just that, it's not that people go, it's that, the society we live in allows this corporation to target children with the most addictive substance, one of the most addictive
Yeah,
and dangerous substances known to mankind, which is
yeah,
the sugar. Although what's that guy's Nick often says it's not
Nick.
sugar on its own, it's the sugar with the
Yeah,
fat.
yeah.
But whatever the case is, it's very addictive, and it's very manipulative, and it's aiming at children. It's like really,
Mm,
really dark.
very, very fucking dark. I mean, uh, there are certain things in business, and I do think that businesses. I'm kind of tyrannical about businesses. I would really look at the social utility of businesses. Why are they setting them up? Who are they targeting? What value are they bringing to the consumer and to their workers?
Have you ever
Uh,
seen the film? Have you seen the film The Corporation?
yeah, I did a while back. I think it was you that recommended it to me a long time ago.
It's a great film, and it points out that when they first started, when the whole idea of a corporation started,
Uh-huh.
you could only create a corporation if you could prove that it was for the good of the people.
Yeah,
And now, it's just not like that at all. Hardly any
No.
of them are for the good of the people.
No, I would agree with you. It's so easy to just set up something now and put it out there. I mean, that's because they don't want it regulated, the free marketeers. I mean, there is a problem in terms of regulation, like who's going to be the arbiter, who's going to decide whether something is beneficial for society. But some of it does clearly look harmful anyway. But I'd have no problem with banning certain things. I'd have no problem with banning like really crap sweets and like confectionery, for children or for adults even. Because they always say, "Oh yeah, but
I don't think it needs to be banned. It just needs to be put on the top shelf in plain wrapping with
right,
big warnings
right,
on.
Yeah. I mean, I remember, Danny.
Picture of people without legs and blind.
There was another thing comes to mind though. You went to Hamleys, the toy store once, and you were shouting outside that with your megaphone. And I don't know where this was. It was you or someone told me that there was a complaint on the radio about it or somewhere about some man, or maybe it was on Twitter or something. Some man ruining it. Why does some arsehole have to ruin everything? and he didn't see what you were doing. So he was obviously. I don't think he was. He didn't see.
There was a whole thing. I did it recently. I stood
Right.
with a sign outside the Hamleys saying "Kids are horrible."
Oh right, yeah. I remember you did that to try and evoke some emotional response. How did that go?
Yeah, it was quite funny. Some
Quite funny, yeah.
influencer, had a go at me saying what you were saying.
Oh right, yeah.
There was also years ago I went into Hamleys and I stood with a sign saying "I like children" or something, and I got chucked out, and the police started questioning me.
Okay. One other thing I like that you did is, you made these kind of like prank phone calls to like Cadbury's and to like these corporations, kind of complaining about what they were doing.
Yeah.
And very good stuff.
Lots
And
of very strange noises coming from you.
sorry, I was moving around there. Sorry, I'm sorry. We'll press play and see what happens.
Kids' preferences without parental consent. Understanding these boundaries helps us recognize when brands cross the line from persuasion to manipulation. How ad psychology impacts everyday life. Advertising is omnipresent, affecting nearly every aspect of our daily lives. Below are 4 areas where its influence is most profound. Personal finance. Impulse purchases driven by clever marketing can strain budgets and lead to financial instability. For example, flash sales and buy one, get one free offers encourage overconsumption by exploiting FOMO. Self-image. Constant exposure to idealized standards of beauty, success, and happiness shapes how.
I remember working in retail, and it was just crazy how, some of these shops, they've constantly got sales on, and there is a rule in Sale of Goods and Supplier Services Act where something can only be displayed as for sale if it's been at a previous price for a set period of time. And what you've got these shops who have 2 similar products, right, on their shelves, or they have multiple, but they have similar products. So what they do is they sell one at a reduced price, whilst the other one is at a higher price. Okay, and then what they'll do is they'll switch it around the next month, and they just keep switching them around. And all they're actually doing is selling it at the normal price. But you go in there and you see the lettering, and, oh, this is for sale, I'm going to buy it, but all they're doing is selling it at the normal price and then inflating the price for the rest of the time, whilst also offering the other product, similar product, at the reduced price, so you buy that. And it's just a continuous kind of cycle of manipulation. But yeah, a lot of shops do that.
How we view ourselves. Unrealistic portrayals in ads contribute to body dissatisfaction, anxiety, and depression among both men and women. Relationships. Gift-giving culture perpetuated by holiday ads influences how we express love and appreciation. Instead of meaningful gestures, relationships may become transactional, focusing more on material gifts than genuine connection. Health choices. Food and fitness ads often promote quick fixes over sustainable habits. Diets, supplements, and workout equipment marketed as miracle solutions can mislead consumers, leading to unhealthy practices or wasted money. By recognizing these influences, you gain greater autonomy over your decisions and reduce the impact of external pressures. Now that you know how brands use dark psychology to manipulate your mind, come in charge of your choices. Start paying attention to the ads around you, question their intent, analyze their tactics, and decide whether they align with your values. Knowledge is power. Aware of these strategies makes you susceptible to manipulation.
Okay. We can stop for a bit, or we can watch another ad. But seeing as we've got a few here, we can have a conversation about it all if you want.
Sorry, Tay was
Questioning you?
antinatalism here.
Well, it's not really about antinatalism here, but you can come on and talk about it. If he can anyway relate it to consumerism, then feel free to come on and talk about it. Jay says he heard that with vitamins, for example, they would put in 25% of how much is actually in the vitamins when they promise 100%. Okay, fair enough. I didn't know that. Probably do. Sometimes they lie. Okay, we'll watch how marketers manipulate us.
So
Apparently.
Tay is coming on. He said he'll come on.
Yeah, he can come on. Yeah, come on then, Tay. Let me just present this one. Share screen. Right.
Everyone likes to think they're not affected by advertisements, but unless you've never seen a single advertisement in your life, your choices are influenced and affected by all the advertisements you've ever seen. Every advertisement changes your opinion on the brand or product. You may see some advertisements where you think, why would anyone decide to buy this product after seeing this? But the purpose of advertisements is no longer to have the consumer immediately pick up the phone and buy the product. The purpose of these advertisements is not to inform the consumer about the product and its features. The reason companies like McDonald's, who have an almost universal recognition, still advertise is because they are trying to build an opinion and corresponding brand image in their consumers' minds. There are two main psychological methods that marketers use nowadays for their advertisements. The first method is called the mere exposure method. These are those minimalist, bare-bones advertisements that make you scratch your head and wonder why the company would spend thousands of dollars on them. It's because everyone is more comfortable in groups. If one line at the bank is considerably longer than the other, people will almost always go to the longer line because they think that there must be a reason that people choose one line over the other. They think that one line is better than the other, or one line is more correct than the other. It's just an easier and more comfortable decision. It's the same kind of idea in consumer psychology. By exposing the consumer to the brand, the consumer starts to feel like they know it. Because of this, when the consumer goes to the store to buy detergent, they can reach for Tide and be comfortable in this decision. The Tide detergent might be a couple dollars more than the store brand detergent, but they know that this brand detergent will work well. It wouldn't be such a huge brand if it didn't work so well. A greater example of this phenomenon is with painkillers and other over-the-counter drugs at the pharmacy. The generic brand drugs are the exact same product as the name brand, with the exact same composition of ingredients. If they had a different composition of ingredients, they would not be allowed to be called the same drug. Advil and generic brand ibuprofen are the exact same product, with the exact same composition, but still, people will buy the Advil despite its steeper price. It's just easier to choose what everyone else chooses. The consumer tends to be anxious to buy the cheaper, generic brand drug. Does this mean that you should always buy the generic brand drugs? Well, not necessarily. In a study by the University of Cincinnati, Parkinson's disease patients were given two drugs, one in which they were told was a more expensive name brand drug, the other being a less expensive off brand drug. After taking the supposedly more expensive drug, the patients had a 28% greater increase in motor skills than after having taken the supposedly cheaper drug. While in reality, both the injections were just saline solution. The expectations were higher for the name brand drug. Therefore, the patients felt better because of a placebo effect. So sometimes spending more will make you feel better. The other common psychological method used in marketing is the classic conditioning method. The idea behind this technique came from a study done by Russian physiologist Ivan Pavlov in the 1890s. Pavlov noticed that his dogs would start to salivate whenever he would enter the room, even if he didn't have food. This was because the dogs had an expectation that they would receive food when Pavlov came into the room, because every time he did have food, he would walk into the room. Pavlov decided to start ringing a bell whenever he gave food to his dogs, and after a while, the dogs would, whenever they heard the sound of a bell, start salivating. This is because the dogs were trained to associate the sound of the bell with food coming. They were trained to have the expectation of food. The same psychological principle works with humans. Brands will try to have certain feelings, reactions, or images associated with their product. If in their advertisements they show certain images in conjunction with their product, the consumer will subconsciously relate the images to the product. The best part of this technique is that it always works. No matter how much you try to block out the advertisements, as long as you see them, you will start to subconsciously relate the two images. Car brands are the biggest culprit of using this sneaky technique. Their advertisements rarely have anything to do with the actual car, but rather about someone driving the car. Luxury car brands will show people in black tie pulling up to a red carpet event, while SUV advertisements will show some adventurous looking couple with kayaks and bikes in tow driving on some dirt road. At this point, you're barely buying a car, but rather a lifestyle. You're buying into the image of being someone that goes to black tie events or spends their weekends being adventurous. The car barely matters at that point. It's the image that you're buying. Perhaps the greatest advertising success in recent memory is the Beats headphones brand. Beats controls 27% of the $1.8 billion headphone market, despite making what are generally agreed upon to be mediocre sounding headphones. The New York Times reported that the actual manufacturing cost of these headphones, which sell for upwards of $250, is about $14. The reason Beats are considered such a premium product is because of their marketing and brand image. From the beginning, Beats spent a huge amount of money to pay for celebrity sponsorships. All the most famous athletes were wearing Beats in their interviews, so the consumer started to get the idea that these were fashionable, high-priced headphones. The high price, solid, heavy materials, sturdy packaging, and celebrity endorsements all raised people's expectations, and likely psychologically made the headphones sound better, just like with the name brand medicines.
Okay, thank you to Wendover Productions for that on YouTube. You can subscribe to their channel. Right. Anybody else want to pop on here? Please do.
I thought Chocolate Rain was going to come on here.
Who's that? Sorry.
Wasn't Tay Zonday going to come on here? Chocolate Rain.
Okay. Being a minimalist. A short education. These are some slides, apparently. Okay. 1 second now. What is minimalism? Right. a trend in sculpture and painting, an avant-garde movement in music, a form of architecture and decor, a simple lifestyle. There you go. Quite a
Oh,
brutal
before I
looking.
forget,
Yeah.
I've just I was there was a post on the misanthropic antinatalist group,
Right. I'm not aware of that.
which is vaguely related to minimalism, which says that in the last 50 years, the human population has more than doubled, and the wildlife population of Earth has fallen by 73%. And I commented on it saying, ironically, this might be the saving grace of mankind. We seem to have prevented trillions of sentient beings from having to live life.
And how was that comment received?
Oh, I don't know. No, I've only just put that comment up, so
It'd be interesting to follow that and see.
yeah.
Hopefully they'll
But it
comment
is an
while you're here.
interesting point.
Yeah, it is an interesting point. It's something that people are very uncomfortable with, though. When you
Yeah.
bring up that in general conversation, I mean, I often go to these. In London, we've got, Danny will know this. We've got a lot of kind of nature reserves, like basically along railway lines, at the back of groups of houses. They have like a little portion of land that they lock off, and the general public can't access it. And basically, inside, it lets all the rats and the foxes breed and live peacefully. So they open them up like once a month, and you can potter around, walk around, and sometimes they're quite nice because they got like, it's a bit like being in a forest or something. They got lovely trees and stuff. Anyway, I did bring that up before about the suffering in nature. Is it good to conserve it?
Yeah.
To some biddy that was volunteering there, and no, she didn't like it. She thought it was very disrespectful, and but it's something people don't think about.
No,
Suffering
I
in
never thought about. I mean, it's
no,
very ironic, really, really ironic that
yeah. I mean,
that people that we've caused all these extinctions, but
mm,
to me, that seems to me, at first
mm,
glance anyway, that's a really great thing. Thank goodness
yeah.
we prevented
Well,
so much suffering.
yeah, I think that most people don't see much of nature, you see. And what we do see is online, we see David Attenborough talking in a very calm manner about things that are deplorable, And the zebra is taken down by the female lioness as she ensures the survival of her cubs for another generation. And it's like they're not talking about the extreme suffering of the zebra, as it's like hindquarters are ripped apart by the canines of the lioness, and it's eaten slowly from its arse inwards.
Yeah.
That isn't even shown. You get a very watered down image of nature on television.
Yeah.
Maybe less so now because YouTube does have a tendency to show these things. But I think the problem is, Danny, humans innately inbuilt disgust, and I think that is problematic to our psychology. So we will run away from it. And that's
Yeah.
why I don't know if you can actually beat it, because if something is problematic to our psychology, we will run away from it. And humans have this. All animals try to run away from danger. So if you're saying something is dangerous, then our reptilian brain may be trying to get away from it. Especially if the intellectual part of you is saying, "Well, I can't fix it," you know. Um, and I think that's probably the case with nature. Humans, when you confront people with this problem, Danny, the intellectual part of their brain goes, "Well, I can't fix that," and the emotional response is to run away because we're built to run away from danger. So Brother Marcus says, so more humans help prevent wild animal suffering, Danny. Is that what you're saying? Yes, I believe that is what he's saying, right, Danny?
Yeah, it is what I'm saying. However, we've spoken about this recently. That doesn't mean that any specific human being needs to be brought into existence, because if our priority is to reduce wild animal suffering, yeah, we don't have to have a child in order to do that. We can just spend all our time like sort of tarmacking the place.
Yeah,
We
and
can
but there'll probably be
volunteer to
you'll
tarmac.
probably be you'll probably be creating some optimal conditions for some form of subterranean life that will live in peace under the tarmac, and and evolution will probably create them so that they have this horrible like form of suffering where they metamorphosize through two different stages of life, and part of it is their skin like gets torn off and they're excruciating agony, and that's part of their mating call, so that others of their species hear them screaming under the ground and get turned on by it. But yeah, nature is horrible. We all agree with that. But Hans Hoffman says the ability to simplify means to eliminate the unnecessary, so that the necessary may speak. Okay, this is obviously all in the same vein as minimalism, what we're going into now. What is a minimalist? A minimalist is one who intentionally chooses less, is purposeful in their buying habits, is mindful of the environment. So not an accelerationist like Danny seems to be sometimes, who wants to accelerate the downfall of the environment. But I don't think he really wants that. I think he wants to tarmac over it. So anyway, and it's also a minimalist is somebody who loves experiences more than stuff. Okay. Minimalists focus on practical needs, so what is actually necessary, the utility of something if it's truly beneficial. Minimalists care about their surroundings, apparently. I mean, I don't know where they're getting this from, but minimalists seek experience. I mean, that's very true. I mean, you're a minimalist because you value something more than the material. The material is merely a mode, that a connection to something else, but it's not the be all and end all. It's a step on a stairway, of which there are many more steps. Okay, and there's a picture. I don't know what the hell. Oh, that's some buildings looking up. Okay. Simplicity is the essence of happiness, says Cedric Bledsoe. A minimalist is one who appreciates the value of time and an individual who puts people over things, an intelligent financial planner, and thankful for what they already have. Gratitude.
Yes, I mean,
Okay.
I do have a friend who, a mutual friend with you, DNW,
Yeah.
Summit.
Right.
He's a real minimalist. He's the proper
Yes.
thing.
Well, he's
I have
almost like
I have a lot of respect for him.
that man is the calmest Homo sapien I've ever spoken to, and
He's
he really is a beautiful person
He really is.
in terms of his compassion and care, and also just his ability to be his ability to contemplate matters and not to give like an impulse, like what I normally do, give a very impulsive quick reaction. He takes his time, and it's just, I don't know whether I should credit his parents, because I for doing that, because he's clearly someone, I believe, who's been brought up in an environment where that has been really fostered in him. To be a thinker, to be somebody who doesn't react rashly.
The reason,
Whereas
one of the reasons he gives for being a minimalist is that he's in India, as we said, and he went to a factory where there were children working, and he
yes.
just decided that he just couldn't support this anymore.
The amazing thing about him is so people like him are kind of mavericks. They're kind of avant-garde. They come to these decisions themselves, without others influencing them. He came to it of his own accord. Whereas a lot of people become like, say, some type of ideology because they hear others talking about it. But someone like Summit comes up with it himself, and lives his own way, because of his own innate value system that he came up with himself.
Yeah.
Minimalists value open schedules. Yeah, there's something liberating about being a minimalist and not having to go shopping, for fuck's sake.
I mean,
hate
if you're
shopping.
a minimalist, can you I think having children is not at all conducive to being a minimalist, is it?
Well, it depends, I suppose, on what they're being a minimalist for. I mean, some people might be being minimalist to like have more money for their children or to help the environment so that humans
Right.
can live on in harmony with nature or whatever. So there's
I
all different
mean,
reasons.
the other thing about it is, of course, the less you need to be happy, the better. Obviously, it's just
Yeah,
obvious, right? So if you can be okay with very little, then that's great.
yeah,
And in a
yeah.
way, it's I don't know how this would actually play out, but I think Peter Joseph speaks about this somewhere. Who's the only guy, the only public guy that I know that actually challenges consumerism and this mad discussion, this mad growth business. But
Hmm.
it um if we live in a society that it has the opposite, that seems to look up to billionaires, right? Whereas really one should really, I mean, I do personally, I have respect for our friend Summit because he can manage
Yeah.
on a tiny amount of money
Hmm.
and be happy, and
Yeah.
that is a superpower, really.
Mhm. It is a superpower. I mean, navigating life on a shoestring budget is a superpower if you're content and you're living well and you're living, you're healthy and such to the best degree possible. And also, he's active in terms of trying to help others as well. It's not just about him, So
Yeah.
he's trying to add value to other people's lives. Now, yeah, I would agree that a lot of these ultra rich billionaires and stuff, they definitely seem to be uh, problematic role models. Uh, and this is kind of, we were talking about crime on Friday here, and we're talking about when is enough enough. Some of these criminals never know when to stop. Like, I mean, if I was a criminal and I did something, got away with it, and made a few million quid, I'd probably stop there. I'd like to think I would. But you see these guys, they just keep going and going, even though the risk of getting caught is always there. And it's quite similar with these business people. They never know when to stop. Enough is never enough. Some of them, they've got to keep making more profit, more value has to be coming into their bank account. And I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes it does seem like a mental illness. Would you agree?
It seems like what?
A mental illness, like some form of
It's addiction.
addiction.
It's addiction. It's
Yeah.
just addiction.
Minimalists build relationships with others. Okay. Minimalists understand smart investing yet, so they only kind of purchase. They really think about what they're doing with their money, with their time. Life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated, according to Confucius. Confucius. I can't. How do you say that? Confucius. The Confucius. Sorry,
Confucius.
Confucius. Yeah. Um, so life is really simple, but we insist on making it complicated. I don't know if it's that simple. It is complicated, but I mean, we don't have to complicate it all the time. I would say that. Would you say that, Danny? What would you say about that statement from Confucius?
Nothing.
Nothing. Nothing needs to be said. I don't know if D Prophet is still with us, but he's welcome to chime in. Benefits of minimalism. He who is contented is rich. Okay, Lao Tzu. So yeah, this is basically what you were saying earlier, Danny, that if you can be happy with very little, then you are kind of winning in this world because you're not as you're not easily roped into the kind of rat race, and unnecessary stress. Okay, the financial servitude to others, especially malevolent forces above you. If you can free yourself from that somewhat, then yeah, you have a greater degree of freedom. And with freedom, I believe, comes contentment. Because you're not feeling uh, you're not feeling used. You're not feeling enslaved.
Needy. You're not feeling needy.
Needy,
Wanting.
exactly. You're in charge of your own destiny, or so it would appear. Money. Smaller homes cost less. Yeah. Smaller homes equal lower utility bills. Economical cars use less fuel. Uh, Fewer purchases equal less expense. Yeah. I mean, walking and cycling are very good, obviously. and good for your health as well. That's the thing about it is sometimes you don't need to drive somewhere. You can cycle there. You cycle a lot, don't you, Danny?
I sure do.
Have you always been a cyclist, or is it something you got into again? I mean, you probably go
Not
in and out of it,
always,
or
not
yeah,
always, but last 20 years, maybe 25
cool.
years. Yeah.
Minimalists prefer smaller homes. Yeah, minimalists conserve energy. Okay, obviously watching your bills and such. Minimalists walk and ride when they can. The simplest things are often the truest.
Talking of conserving energy,
Yeah.
I still seem to be getting in some of my social media feeds these people who talk about your free energy. What do you think about that?
Free energy. When you say free energy, what do you mean? Have they developed some kind of perpetual motion machine? What do you mean?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh, it's a load of bollocks. I mean, it's not possible. I mean, there is such a thing as renewable energy. Um, but yeah, I don't think a perpetual motion machine that creates energy in and of itself is possible. There has to be some outside cause. And the thing is, it does have a tendency to.
What about nuclear fusion?
Yeah, nuclear fusion is an interesting one. I don't know enough about that, but obviously there was a splitting of the atom, and they say that nuclear fusion is a much cleaner way of doing it, less problematic environmentally. But yeah, apparently it's got a great possibilities. Yeah.
Or maybe get
Um,
lots of very poor people to like go on treadmills.
well, maybe it's the rich that need to do it though, because maybe they're the fat ones. So maybe they need to lose weight, and they need to. That would benefit the health system, and it would benefit them, benefit the rich's mental health as well because they're doing exercise and becoming fitter. But yeah, Brother Marcus says, is minimalism ethical? That's an interesting question because given that we're in this society, is opting out of buying things when people's livelihoods are dependent on it. Is that what you mean, Brother Marcus? I mean, there's loads of ways you can go with this, but if you stop buying things and you try to remove yourself from the consumer market, that market does shore up things like the tax system, the value-added tax and such. It all goes into providing some way or other for schools, roads, healthcare, depending on what country you're in. So, is it ethical to take yourself out of the market? What other ways would you say, Brother Marcus, that minimalism might be unethical? It'd be interesting if you came on here and gave us your thoughts. That would be good. So hopefully you can. Time. Smaller spaces require less work. Yeah. So if your desk is smaller, if your home is smaller, I mean, laptops have been good because you require less paperwork and stuff, and you can have all your files on there, so it creates more space. But I'm not sure about energy usage. We seem to be burning up a lot of electricity all around the world because we invented computers, especially with the fucking cryptocurrencies. You'll also have more time to travel if you're a minimalist, apparently, because obviously, yeah, you'll be doing other things. You won't be browsing online for shopping. You won't be tidying up your home because you've got too much clutter. Yeah, so you'll have more free time to do things, like you'll have time for other people and you'll have time for hobbies. So if it impacts accelerationism, that can be a possible consideration. So if minimalism impacts accelerationism, so yeah, if you're an accelerationist, if you think that it's good to speed up, I don't know. Do you mean it's good to speed up the demise of life on Earth? Is that what you mean, Brother Marcus? Or accelerating? I mean, to be part of the consumer market, there are other benefits from it because it's not all bad. So if you're paying into the system, yeah, there are things happening in it because of capitalism. For example, there are new drugs being developed. Okay, There are new AI things being developed because people are paying into the system. Because everyone is making impulse buys, somehow or other, the money is going to good things as well as bad, and it is actually benefiting humankind. As always, there's a good and a bad. So if you buy things, somehow or other, the money ends up in someone else's pocket who might well do good with it somewhere along the line. So it's not as simple as to say all spending is bad, or it's not as simple as to say that, for example, if you're someone who gambles and you're a bit moronic and you just spend your money on stupid shit, well, were you always going to spend your money on stupid shit? And is it better that someone gets that money off you as soon as possible and puts it to good use rather than it being in your pocket just waiting for another stupid purchase? Maybe it's better that money is taken off you and given to somebody else, even though they got it off you by getting you to do something stupid like gamble. Maybe it's better that person has the money and then uses it for good for society rather than, you who is some kind of wastrel and not very good at using your money ethically. I don't know. What do you think of that possibility, Daniel? Brother Marcus says by impact, he means it could benefit or it could harm. It depends on your views. And he's posing the question for the panel. Danny is not currently with us. Minimalists make time to see the world. So yeah, you'll have more free time to travel, spend time with the ones you love, spend time being more productive with your hobbies, whatever they are. And also you can focus on learning as well, because you're not being consumed by the stresses of materialism and consumerism. You can chill out and read a book. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication, according to that man that was called Leonardo da Vinci. Health, spend more time exercising. If you're a minimalist, you can eat more healthily, apparently. You can spend more time outdoors and you can get more peace and relaxation. What's not to like, eh? Minimalists practice low-cost fitness. Yeah, I mean, I've often thought it's unnecessary to spend so much of your money on gym memberships or extortionate gym memberships or fitness equipment when you can do a lot of exercise just with your own body weight, push-ups or chin-ups or whatever it is, and stretches and yoga and whatever it is you want to do. I mean, there's a good book called The Cell Workout Routine. So it's by a prisoner who was incarcerated for a long time, and he developed a way of exercising that involves not needing any exercise machines other than being able to use a bed for lifting your body weight up and down now and again. Minimalists eat healthily. Minimalists spend more time outdoors. This is a bit repetitive. Sorry about that. Minimalists find a greater sense of peace, apparently. But I suppose there is a peace in knowing that you're not being led astray by others. You're in control. Perfection is achieved not when there's nothing more to add, but when there is nothing left to take away, said Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. I don't know who that is. Exupéry. I'll have to look that up later. Okay, learn more about being a minimalist at this website, hipdigs.com. So that's that. We'll leave that one out. So Scott says the reason he built a tiny house, a 3-bedroom home, tiny wood stove, also known as a Burns, aka Burns. He burns windfall, so branches that fall in the wind, and fruit tree cuttings, and again less energy is spent. Okay, books are a material item that costs money. That's very true. But that would be part of the minimalist perspective. What do you spend money on? Does it have utility? Is it beneficial to you? They still spend money. I'm gonna mute. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Noodles, come back. They still spend money. They just spend money on things that are necessary. And yeah, learning is necessary. Okay. Right. Anything else at this juncture, people? Let's remove that. So anybody want to come on here? Please do. What's this?
Come on, Noodles, come on up.
Deciphering the psychological drivers behind consumer behavior. Okay. Today's market environment is characterized by rapid changes and intense competition, where consumer behavior plays a central role in shaping economic dynamics. Consumerism has evolved beyond rational analysis. It's now deeply rooted to psychological tendencies, making financial decisions more complex than ever. Impulse buying stands out as a captivating phenomenon, reflecting the impulsive nature of human behavior and its impact on economic activities. This presentation delves into the intricate display between psychology and consumer behavior, aiming to unravel the mysteries behind impulse buying and offering practical strategies for effective management. This is a very short presentation, by the way. Impulse buying, often termed as emotional buying, refers to spontaneous purchases triggered by immediate desires rather than deliberate planning. Unlike planned purchases, which involve careful consideration and intentionality, impulse buys occur suddenly, driven by emotional impulses and situational cues. To comprehend the phenomenon of impulse buying, it's essential to explore the underlying psychological factors that influence consumer behavior, including emotions, cognitive biases, and social influences. Strategies for managing impulse buying. Despite its challenges, impulse buying can be effectively managed through targeted strategies that empower individuals to regain control over their spending habits. By understanding the psychological triggers that drive impulse buying and implementing proactive interventions, individuals can develop healthier attitudes towards consumption and make more informed financial decisions. So you cultivate self-awareness. The first step in managing impulse buying is cultivating self-awareness and recognizing the emotional and situational triggers that prompt impulsive spending. Keeping a spending journal can be a valuable tool for tracking patterns, identifying triggers, and enabling individuals to develop personalized strategies for mitigating their impact. Practice mindfulness. Mindfulness techniques can help individuals become more attuned to their thoughts and emotions, allowing them to observe their impulses without judgment. By practicing mindfulness meditation or deep breathing exercises, individuals can create a mental space between their impulses and their actions, enabling them to make more deliberate choices. Set clear goals. Setting clear financial goals provides individuals with a sense of purpose and direction, making it easier to resist the temptation of impulse buying. Whether it's saving for a specific goal, paying off debt, or building an emergency fund, having concrete goals in mind serves as a powerful motivator for responsible spending. Establishing spending limits. Establishing spending limits helps individuals to stay within their budget and avoid impulsive purchases, as I already said. Delay gratification. Introducing a cooling off period, okay, between the impulse to buy and the actual purchase can help individuals curb impulsive urges and make more considered decisions. I benefit from that myself online. You know, I have a day when I buy things at the end of the month, and I leave the purchases till then as much as I can, so I can decide then if I actually need them, and kind of like look at whether I am actually buying it impulsively or not. Whether it's waiting 24 hours before making a purchase or setting a spending threshold that triggers a review process, delaying gratification can reduce the likelihood of regrettable purchases. Buyer's remorse. That's it. Thank you, says the person that developed that, and thank you to whoever that was. Okay. Guys, I'll let you have a little chin wag. I'm just going to the kitchen, but anybody want to come on here, please do now. You would be saving the show and starting a constructive conversation in regards to consumerism pitfalls, how we can be mindful customers and clients of corporations, how we can avoid them if necessary, how we can live a minimalist lifestyle if it's necessary, etc., etc. Da, da, da. Let me just, whilst I'm waiting for somebody else to come on here. This one here, minimalist health. So the benefits to our health from being a minimalist. Okay, let's have a look here. Taking care of your health doesn't have to be complicated. You can make the decision to intentionally structure your life so that both your physical and emotional health are in top-notch shape. This short manifesto will cover tips and tools to help you focus on the essentials. Your life is your message, so take care of yourself. You only get one body and one mind. Cultivate both. Be happy and do good. The story of stuff. The story of stuff is about how we process, distribute, and waste stuff. The process is causing an incredible number of health problems for people and planet Earth. For instance, toxic chemicals are found in everything and cause a wide range of illnesses like cancer and even imbalances in neurological and hormonal systems. These chemicals are so prevalent they are even found in newborn babies. I mean, we read lately that apparently we all have a teaspoon of plastic in our brains. So yeah, that's a bit worrying. The amount of unnecessary waste we generate is polluting the environment. Consumer culture has created a mentality of disposability. Consumer culture is causing major health problems for individuals and killing the planet. Annie Leonard recently came out with the Story of Stuff book. Consider purchasing this book to learn more about this topic. Micro action. Think about the stuff you buy. Examine your consumption patterns. What steps can you take to clear out your stuff? Start with one pile at a time. Recycle, reuse, and donate your excess stuff to charity stores, etc. Do you know what kinds of toxic chemicals are in your personal care products and food? Learn more at the Good Guide. Okay, you can look that up yourself. Emotional health. Excess stuff is not only hurting our physical environment, it is hurting our emotional health too. Consumer culture has trapped us in a cycle of buy, work, spend, repeat. Many people are on an emotional treadmill and don't know why. For example, writer Ariel Gorth saw a therapist until she realized that what she really wanted was a clean home. She ended up hiring a housekeeper and is now happy. Wow. If only we were all in that privileged position to be able to hire a housekeeper, I'm sure we would be happy. The emotional and monetary cost of stuff is astounding. Instead of going shopping to acquire more, purge your excess stuff first. Micro action. How does all your excess stuff affect your emotional well-being? Are you stressed out because of debt or the prospect of debt? Kick your addictions. As a minimalist, we should all try to kick our addictions. We all have addictions, including driving when we could easily walk or ride a bus, watching too much television, or obsessively checking emails and social networks. Addictions can dominate and consume our lives. In addition, they prevent us from taking care of our health. For example, the person who created these slides is a recovering car addict. Cars make it easy to travel long distances and, in theory, get places quickly. But their car and their lifestyle were killing them, and they were overweight and depressed. Selling their cars was their catalyst for change. Thanks to selling their car, she's healthy, happy, and she's learned to take care of her body. Micro action. Sit down, make a list of your addictions. This is a good exercise. What can you change in your life today? Can you sell your television or go car free? Look at your addictions as a minimalist and be wary of what it is that you're doing again and again that has a negative impact on you, others, and or the environment. Go car free. The intended function of cars is comfort and convenience. However, owning 2 cars negatively impacted her health. By going car free, she's pedaled towards a healthier lifestyle. Fear of questioning the status quo holds us back from asking tough questions and, for example, selling cars sooner. Asking questions about what is normal, necessary, or what it means to live the good life can provoke a lot of anxiety and fear in all of us. Deciding to opt out of what is normal is one way to lead a healthier and happier lifestyle. That's a very good point. Just because most people are doing it doesn't mean it's good for you or for them. Sell your car and pedal towards a healthier life. Join the car-free revolution. Make a list of your fears and ask yourself why you're feeling scared or hesitant about going car free or leaving behind one of your addictions. What is the worst thing that could happen? And this person says, destroy your TV or your smart television or even your computer. Yes, you heard me, destroy your television. On average, Americans watch 153 hours of television every month. I don't know what it is now if you include YouTube and that. Studies have shown that TV is bad for your physical, emotional health. Sitting on our butts for hours and hours every day is not good. Turn the television off, go outside, take a walk, start practicing yoga, be part of reality. The more you limit your television consumption, the healthier and happier you'll be, apparently. Micro action. Add up the number of hours you spend in front of the television. How could you use these hours more effectively? That is something that would be good to do as an individual, just to analyze how much time you're spending online or browsing, the internet or watching television, and what could you do instead? Comparatively speaking, that would be more beneficial for you and more focused on, helping you achieve something better in life. Do something. Getting fit means you have to move your body. It's essential to pick an activity you enjoy. It could be running, walking, or yoga, but you need to like it. If you don't like the activity, odds are you won't follow through. Running, walking, riding a bike, and yoga are all low-cost activities. You probably already have a pair of walking or running shoes, a bike, maybe a yoga mat at home. If not, start checking out local shops for sales. Taking care of your physical body doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but you have to do something. This can be hard in the modern world, especially if you have a desk job. This person spends the majority of their time writing on a computer, but now that she works from home, she can stand at her desk and do some kind of physical activity every day. Go outside, get your move on. You can do it. Find balance through yoga. So the benefits of yoga are incredible. I know Danny does a bit of yoga. I do a little bit now and again. The benefits of yoga are incredible. If you aren't practicing yoga now, start. You will build strength and flexibility. Learn how to relax in the midst of high stress situations. It will help you tune out and de-stress, definitely. During practice, your mind is at ease. You don't think about web design, writing, or photography. You're just there in the moment, focusing on the current pose. Your mind is quiet in a world of constant noise and demands, and this is comforting. Yoga can help you cultivate mindfulness and bring you peace in life. Maybe it will do that for you. Micro action. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars a year to practice yoga. You can practice in the comfort of your home. All you need is a yoga mat, a towel, and comfortable clothes. Go to the library and check out a few books on yoga. You can go online as well. There's loads of stuff online about yoga poses and routines. Definitely something to check out. Turn the internet off. As a minimalist, this is something to be wary of. Technology rocks. This author is a proponent of using technology for good. In fact, her career depends on technology. It is a beautiful tool, yet the way we use our mobile devices and computers can be out of balance with the rest of our lives. Do we really need to surf, tweet, and email from our phones or computers all the time? The internet is a powerful yet distracting tool. There is so much information flowing towards us, things to be read, new friendships to be made, and more and more. In an age of distraction, it's hard to remember that physical and emotional balance are the keys to success. Micro action. As a minimalist, start limiting the amount of time you spend online and start focusing on your physical health and your mental health. How can we help others if we don't take care of ourselves? Rethink work. Your day job doesn't have to be your only identity. It's easy to see why many people feel isolated from their communities when they typically spend 8 hours a day in a cubicle, then they drive home alone to a big house, or they go on public transport where nobody talks to each other or even smiles at each other, and they partake in their favorite angulistic watching television. She doesn't think any of these activities are inherently bad, but they don't promote a healthy lifestyle. How can you become more active if you're still working a 40-hour plus week? If you work in a cubicle forest, talk to your supervisor about working from home or reducing your work hours. A majority of office dwellers can complete their work remotely now. People don't need to be tied to their cubicle to produce stellar work, and many corporations recognize the importance of community service. The internet has changed how organizations do business. Working from home will give you more time to focus on your health instead of commuting to the office. You can go for a long morning walk, run, or bike ride. If that's not an option, you can still focus on your health at the office. Consider riding your bike to work, going on long walks at lunch, or standing while you work. Micro action: talk to your boss about an alternative work schedule. Use your lunch hour to walk, run, or stretch. Do something that will improve your physical and emotional health. Stand while you work. Humans were not meant to sit all day in a chair. You might consider yourself healthy. However, sitting all day will put you at risk of obesity, diabetes, heart disease, a range of cancers, and an early death. If you're a sitting office gnome, start standing while you work. Standing while working is better for your health and your heart. You'll experience fewer back pains, burn more calories, and improve your circulation. Standing while working increases productivity. This person's been standing while working for the last few weeks, and she is much more productive. It's easier for her to concentrate, and she doesn't feel lethargic. It improves your posture. So the habit of sitting hunched over at your desk is removed, and standing while working has improved her posture, and she stands up straight and her shoulders don't curl over. So micro action: take baby steps, start standing a little, but every day, a little bit every day. Let your body get used to the new routine. You'll be up to 8 hours in no time. Talk to your co-workers and boss about your new idea. Restructure your workstation so you can stand more. Simple food rules. Food as a minimalist is a complicated topic. Everyone has their own opinion about what types of foods are good or bad. She's a huge fan of Michael Pollan and has adopted a few of his simple food rules. Eat real food, including lots of vegetables and fruit. Avoid food products that are processed and unpronounceable. Avoid products that make undue health claims, I suppose. Shop the peripheries of the supermarket, the edges of the market stock real food. The deeper you go into the market, the more processed junk food you'll find. Get out of the supermarket and shop at the farmer's market. Okay, so the micro action: stop eating fake food that comes in plastic containers. Find your local farmer's market. If you don't have a farmer's market, start a revolution. Get connected to your community and start asking questions. Right, eat real food. Let's teach every child about an adult about real food. This person believes the power of food can change our physical and mental health for the better. It's true. Obesity, heart disease, and other preventable illnesses are killing people because we are not eating real food. A lot of these problems can be solved by eating simple and real food. Cooking good, healthy food doesn't have to be difficult. You can create healthy meals that take 15 to 30 minutes to prepare at home. Vegetables, salad, rice dishes, taco creations, and homemade cookies are a few options to consider. Micro action: read In Defense of Food and Stone Soup. Create your own food rules. Join the food revolution. Find your tribe. Simple living is about more than cute homes or counting up stuff. As a minimalist, it's a movement connected to broader social problems like healthcare crises, consumerism, cycles of debt, and global warming. It's about re-examining physical, emotional health and how our daily choices affect local and global communities. Connect with your tribe. You can find your tribe through social networks or community groups. Create your own tribe. Do good. As a minimalist, design your life to make a difference. Take care of your mental and physical health so that you can change the world. There are billions of people who need help. Some of those people don't have access to, for example, clean drinking water or healthcare, or they face violence on a daily basis. Did you know over 1 billion people in Africa and Asia do not have access to clean drinking water? 1 in 6 American women has been the victim of a rape. According to UNICEF, 25,000 children die each day due to poverty. Empower yourself so that you can empower others. Get involved, start a movement, change the world, says this lady. Share this ebook. She wants you to share this ebook. She said it's not copyrighted. Her name is Tammy Strobel, Strobel. Thank you, Tammy, for there she is there. She blogs at Rowdy Kittens if you want to look her up, for social change through simple living. There you go. Thank you to Tammy. She's car free and she owns less than 100 things, and she lives in Portland, Oregon, the best city on the planet. Doesn't always happen in Portland, Oregon, all this kind of stuff. Anyway, that's that. So I won't do any more presentations or anything. I think that's about it. Anybody want to come on here and talk about minimalism, buying habits, the darker side to advertising, how we can overcome it, how we can avoid it. Maybe any purchasing habits you've tried to tame in your life, any purchases you regret, and I think in terms of addiction that you've been able to overcome, how you did it, and I think in that regard, do come on. We've been going for over 2 hours. I'll give you about 5 minutes to come on here. If not, we can shut it down if we don't get the conversation going. Can you also, Joe Poop says, good advice overall, already following most of the main things. Wonderful, wonderful. So anybody want to come on it? D Profit or Danny, have you got anything to say about any of this or anything in general to do with addiction, consumption, consumerism, buying habits? Anything that's popped into your heads over the last 2 hours on this matter, on these matters?
Oh, I've been doing my taxes, so not much has been popping into my head actually.
No problem. I don't know if Danny is with us at the moment.
It doesn't sound like it, but you know what? I will say this one thing, and then I might hop off because I actually have to pay attention to what I'm doing. Minimalism is fine. Minimalism is good, but if you are actually living a non-urban lifestyle, if you live out in the country, if you have livestock, if you garden, if you do things, if you repair things, you're going to need tools. You're going to need various implements and shovels and picks and fencing, and you're going to need a shed to keep all that shit in. This is something that we ran into when we first started together. My girlfriend is a minimalist, but at the same time, we need to raise goats. So what the fuck are we going to do with all this fencing? You know what I mean? And she quickly learned that if you're going to be living an agrarian lifestyle, you're going to need a lot of tools on hand, and it's not going to be stuff that you use all the time. You might spend $300 on a tool you use 4 times. You know what I mean? But
yeah, I remember I used to have a landscaping business, and it was the same kind of thing. You had things that you didn't use that much, and they did cost money. It's very hard to overcome that, but you can hire tools as well sometimes. But sometimes it's not worth it because sometimes the tool isn't that valuable either. But yet you still, you know what I mean? It's
right.
Not something that more than I don't know, $50 or whatever. So by the time you
basic
to the hire,
of your house, you're going to need drill bits and screws and a couple of different hammers and all different kinds of screwdrivers and stuff. And so you can only be minimalist up until the point that you're being kind of provided for by other people. If there's a maintenance guy that takes care of everything that you're building and that kind of shit. Like if you're actually living a real life, you're only going to be able to be so minimalist.
Yeah. I agree, brother. Right. I'm going to try and find, no one's talking, so I'm going to try and find another video to watch. And I think we'll watch something on digital minimalism because not only can you clutter up your home, you can clutter up your fucking computer, your phone with crap, digital crap that just collects on your phone or computer, slows it down, or maybe even distracts you. All these apps on our phones, most of them we don't even need. I mean, I've just realized a lot of my apps, the website is good enough. So I don't download the app. I just use the website version, the web browser version on my phone even, because what's the point of having like gigabytes taken over by apps that you don't really need? Because again, it's a bit like the tools, D-Profit. You don't use them that much. So why have the bloody app, when all it's doing is watching you and learning from you so that it can manipulate you. That's why it's there on your phone. Right.
Well, I'm going to drop off and take whatever you show off the air. But thanks for having me on, D&W. I'll talk to you later.
All right, brother. Thank you for joining us as always. Take care now. Bye-bye. I'm going to just watch this random video. Sorry if it's crap, but I hope it's not. Present, share screen. How digital media changed my life. Now, this is a video by Gabriel Bailey. I will hit subscribe, and you can subscribe if you want to as well.
On a digital detox.
Oh,
I went into
no
the
sound.
English countryside and I stayed in a
I don't know why that happened. Okay. No sound. I'll have to figure out this.
Whilst doing so, I read this book. Earlier this year, I went on a digital detox. I went into the English countryside and I stayed in a cabin with my phone locked in a box for 4 days. And whilst doing so, I read this book. And I have to say, it's been a transformative experience for me ever since. It's had a really profound impact on the way that I live my life. Since then, I've slashed my screen time by over 9%. I've become infinitely more productive, and I'm well on my way to healing my toxic relationship with social media. So, how did I achieve this? Well, it was difficult at the time and slightly uncomfortable. But looking back, inspired by this book, I went through 3 distinct stages, and I'm going to share them with you today. So let's break it down. Stage number 1 is to strip back everything that you use and analyze it. For many of us, me included, that means looking at your phone usage. Why are you picking up your phone? And what are you actually doing every time you do so? Is it productive? And does it add anything to your life? It was immediately obvious to me that social media was feeding me a lot of stuff that was completely useless. On any given day, I could easily spend 30 minutes or more scrolling through TikTok. Then I would come out of the app and go to do something else, and I wouldn't be able to tell you any of the last 5 things that I just watched. And if that's the case, then surely they're not adding that much value to my life. Does that sound familiar? One thing this book does really well is it describes kind of the evolution of these devices. They started out primarily as a communications device, a phone that you could ring someone on. It slowly evolved into a more digital version of that with WhatsApp and iMessage, sending photos, video calls, all that kind of stuff. Then they slowly evolved into multimedia devices. I can use this to listen to music, or I could read a book on it. Finally, they've entered the stage that they're in now, where they're just ubiquitous. You do absolutely everything on these devices. There's nothing that you can't do. You can pick it up and you can immediately just get sucked into the ether, just this world online that exists, that sucks up all of your time and sometimes gives you very little in return. So when it came to stripping back my usage, I knew that my phone was the first place to start. And what I did was I deleted all of my social media apps: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. All of these applications that were dominating my attention, all completely gone. And my phone now resembled what it was meant to be, a communications device. Now, there's no getting away from it. This step was really difficult for me. Thinking back to it now, I didn't think I was that addicted to my phone. And so I was really surprised to be having what I can only describe as withdrawal symptoms. I felt completely on edge at first, really uncomfortable. And I got that funny, nervous twitch of constantly wanting to check something. But when I took out my phone, there was nothing on it to check. Every split second of free time, I was like, oh, well, what am I going to do now? I have to stand in the queue to buy something, and normally I'd be on Instagram, but now I don't have the application, so what am I going to do? And that really is the next question. You've got all of this free time now, so what are you going to do with yourself? And that's step 2. Step 2 is all about introducing what Carol calls high-quality leisure to fill some of that free time that you now have. This is a really important stage because you want to fill all of your time with something that's more meaningful than just using your phone. For me, if we think back to what I was talking about earlier, when something like your phone becomes a singular communications device, I found myself starting to add more devices that were single use. So I would introduce a Kindle and I would be reading books on this. This is great because I can get it out and it's just for reading books and nothing else. I introduced a dedicated gaming device. I'd no longer pull out my phone to play some games. Instead, I would have this. And it's much more intentional because I go to each of these devices with a specific purpose. Finally, I introduced a journal. And this was really important because it's something that I can go to that's completely analog and it still acts as a way for me to jot down and capture my thoughts at any given time. Between them, it forms kind of like a new ecosystem of the things that I like doing: reading, gaming, taking notes, and I can still use this for communications. This is much closer to how technology is meant to be used, devices with purpose. I picked these up with a specific goal in mind, and there's no chance of me getting a random notification and getting sucked into the ether of everything all at once. When it comes to accessing social media platforms, I still do this. I'm not some kind of digital hermit. Everything can be accessed through my desktop computer, and that's kind of the one-stop shop. I know when I sit down, I have license to go on the web and go on Instagram and go on Facebook. It's nice to see the occasional update from friends, and that's what those platforms were actually made for, and now I'm using them in the proper way. It's funny because using these platforms has become, to me, a lot like checking my email. I go on, I have a look, I see what has been happening, and then I close it down and I don't check it again for a couple of hours. It's got rid of that kind of stream of consciousness, everyone checking each other's story, etc. And that has really helped me to heal my relationship with it. So what does my relationship with social media look like now? Well, that's stage number 3. In this stage, it's important to reintroduce some elements of technology. You want to be someone who's still connected, but you want to use these elements of technology in your benefit. You want to be getting something out of them. And now that you're reintroducing something from scratch, you can have a much more analytical approach around what it is that actually benefits you when you're using some of these applications. So for me, that was a number of things. As a photographer, I want to post on Instagram. I want to have a place that acts as a default portfolio online that people can go on and see my photographs. So I need the Instagram app on my phone to do that. There are other ways of posting, and I investigated many of them, but it just doesn't give the same native experience as posting on that. So I have the Instagram application on my phone, but I don't use it for browsing anything. I go on the desktop to do that function, and so I only open the Instagram app when I'm going to post something, a photo from a trip that I've been on, and that's it. I can't trust myself with having Reddit, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, or any of those kinds of social media platforms on my phone. I have no purpose to have access to those every single minute of every single day, other than to just fill my time scrolling, and so none of those applications are on this device. I will keep my laptop as the de facto standard for online updates for all other platforms. So what does this mean? I will sit down and spend dedicated, intentional time checking social media, and I won't just tap into it anytime that I'm feeling bored. Finally, my journal comes absolutely everywhere with me, and if it's just the new standard, it's always there with me to jot down ideas, and I find this very beneficial to capture any kind of idea that comes my way and make sure it's stored somewhere. So now I have a new ecosystem of devices that I take with me that really benefit me and all of the things that I want to achieve. So we've gone away and we've gone through our 3 steps. We had a look at our technology usage and we stripped it all away and analyzed it. We introduced some high quality leisure, different activities that we can fill our time with, things like exercise, walking, gaming, reading, journaling. And then we reintroduced some of those activities in a way that works for us. But what about the outcomes of this? What have I experienced over the last 6 months? So the first big thing is I've reclaimed about 3.5 hours of my time every single day that I'm no longer glued to my phone. I think an interesting thing to me is that it hasn't been a one-to-one swap. I haven't simply taken out those 3.5 hours I spend on my phone and spend it directly on something else. And I feel like that's the biggest misconception. You see a lot of videos that are like spending all of my screen time walking. Well, the fact that I haven't done this brings me to some of the biggest benefits around doing this. So with those 3.5 hours, I can obviously do extra things. But what I've also found is I can be much more relaxed and much more intentional about the things that I was doing already. I simply have more time to think, relax, and enjoy the meaningful things that I do every single day. Some people, like Hal, describe this as deep work. I like to think of it as just being more purposeful with my time. Examples of things I now spend more time doing. Something that springs to mind is planning trips. I've been on more trips than I ever have this year, and I've really enjoyed each one of them. This is simply because I spend more time thinking about what it is I want to do and then planning to that effect. The second thing is making videos, and I'd be amiss if I didn't mention this. I've started a YouTube channel and I upload it every single week so far this year. I'm really proud of all these videos, and they take time, effort, and thought. Time I now have because I'm not spending it scrolling on my phone. Finally, another measurable one for me is my side business of photography and videography. I picked up more clients this year and made more money than I normally would have simply because I've spent more time doing it. Another funny observation is I've become much more agnostic with my consumption of media. What I mean by this is if you take all of the media that's ever been created, so every single piece of audio, video, the written word, etc., and you put it in one giant pile, ranked by how impactful and important it is to me. If you take that 1%, that's now what I'm looking to consume. Now, some of those things will be TikToks, but not all of them. Instead, I'm looking at seeking out that top 1% of media, whatever medium it takes, whether it's a book, a YouTube video, a TV show, a movie, or a video that's been made on TikTok. And that's what I want to spend my time consuming. So one thing that I have noticed is that I've actually spent more time in this last 6 months consuming TV shows and movies than I ever have before. I've never been someone who watched TV because I felt like I didn't have the time to sit back and enjoy it. But that's now all completely changed. There are so many high quality, inspiring shows I haven't had the chance to watch, and now I have the opportunity to do so. Secondly, and this is a funny one, but I've actually become much more confident with posting things online. These videos, for instance, I'm no longer self-conscious about recording and posting them. I'm sat in a public park right now in the middle of central London, and I've had multiple people laugh at me whilst trying to record this, but I don't really care. I'm really proud of these videos, and I think that it's really important for me to continue making and uploading them, and no one else really matters. What I've noticed is when you start to be on these apps less, you start comparing yourself less to other people, and you start focusing more on yourself and what's actually meaningful to you. What's also funny is now when I log in, it's much less a constant stream of consciousness than it used to be. I could see other people's days in real time as I was on Instagram with every story that they posted, and that's what leads to that toxic comparison of exactly what I'm doing in that moment versus what other people are doing in that moment. But if you log in a couple of times per day on your desktop computer, all of that goes away, and instead it's kind of like going and looking at the news or getting your email updates, etc. It's just this thing that I see all at once. It's pretty cool. All the best stuff rises to the top, and I no longer see every single minutiae of everything. And it's actually a more inspiring experience that makes me want to post more, which is kind of not what I expected going into this. It's turned much more into a slow media channel with much more interesting content for me to consume, and I like that. Finally, it's just been overall really beneficial to my mental health. I feel less stressed. I feel like I do have more time, and I feel like I'm spending that time doing things that matter way more to me. I find myself being increasingly creative, and I capture all of those ideas in real time in an analog format in my journal. I've got tons of ideas now for videos and projects that I want to do. I sleep much better now. I think that that's a surprising side effect of all of this. When thinking about that high quality leisure, it's not just replacing it with activities by yourself. I've actually spent more time with friends in the last 6 months than I ever had before, and I've made new friends because of this. And you may sit there and think, surely not all of these things can be attributed to becoming a digital minimalist. But I think the way that you spend your time has a really funny effect on your life. It's like this weird snowball effect where I started this one thing that was just analyzing my relationship with my phone, and suddenly it just snowballed and rippled into how I spend hours of my day every single day, and all of that time compounded over months until now, where I feel like a very different person. And so if you take away one thing from this video, I promise you that if you took a look at your phone usage, you took that time and you took 90% of it and you spent it on things that were much more meaningful and intentional to you, you'll notice changes in your day-to-day life that you didn't think was possible. And that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing to my channel. I have videos like this.
Yeah, go subscribe to his channel. So At this juncture of the show, it's a little bit awkward. There isn't anybody on. Danny's here, but he's not talking. So I suppose we'll be closing down. Jay said he was going to come on, but I don't know if he's still around. I give them about a minute or two to hop on here. So if I don't hear anybody in 2 minutes, I'll shut it down and we'll come back on Wednesday. Yeah, but hopefully somebody will come on, give their thoughts on minimalism, purchasing behavior, controlling our impulsive buys, getting rid of our addictions, keeping our home as a peaceful place that doesn't stress us out, buying less, reusing more, and oh yeah, practicing digital minimalism as well. Not using your phone in bed, not watching videos as you lie in bed. Being aware that it's not conducive to being well rested or getting a good night's sleep. Chill out, tune out, chill out. Buy less, buy more mindfully. Be aware that corporations are trying to manipulate you into buying things that you probably don't need. Be aware that sometimes products and services are actually harmful. Become more self-aware. Analyze your thoughts and analyze what thoughts are beneficial to you and what aren't, what the thoughts are trying to say to you. Analyze your negative impulses and why they keep happening in your life, and try to put hurdles up to prevent them happening. So put something in between you and that problematic action. Try to live better for yourself. The last thing that I ordered, yeah, I actually did order something on, I ordered a silicone tray for my air fryer. So basically, instead of using the paper trays that are disposable, I ordered a silicone one so you can use it again and again and you just wash it afterwards. We got Brother Noodles here. Brother Noodles, welcome. How are you doing?
All right, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm okay. We're talking about consumerism, trying to be more mindful in our purchases, trying to avoid the pitfalls of manipulative advertising, and trying to be an all-round minimalist, so that we buy less, reuse more, just have a more kind of harmonious general environment in our homes, to provide us with less stress, to
Yeah.
tune out and chill out a bit more at nighttime, not to be obsessively doom scrolling or watching YouTube videos when it's not good for a good night's rest. I mean, definitely there is a tipping point here. I notice with me when I'm looking at YouTube or whatever, if I do it too late, I definitely I don't feel as well rested the next day.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think you're someone who would have had a lot to say on the subjects we talked about tonight if you'd come on earlier. Do you have anything that you'd like to say about matters? I mean, you're somebody who basically lived in his van for quite some time. I mean, that's the ultimate minimalist. How did that go for you? What did you learn from that period of your life?
I learned that. What did I learn? I don't know. That even though it seems like it could be fun, it's still like really expensive in a way, because you still have to run the engine. You're still driving, unless you're like posted up somewhere, then it's all right. But yeah, I mean, obviously you don't as you know, in my van particularly, I didn't want to accumulate stuff. I don't know. I mean, I still hit up thrift stores and shit, and I probably would have bought tons of shit if there was anything good, but there's just very little good stuff at thrift stores these days.
Yeah, it definitely seems like the prices have gone up as well. It's not like you don't get as many bargains, do you?
Yeah, I mean, people know what they got, and yeah, I mean, it's just like everything that was made in the 20th, not everything, but a lot of the stuff that was made in the 20th century was just all around better quality, detail, everything. It was just better stuff in general. And for a while, it seemed like for a while you could find a lot of it, and it was, you know, not a lot of people were looking for it, but now because of the internet, because of smartphones and everything, everyone's an expert. Everyone knows what they got. No one's like questioning, you know, everybody knows that someone might want something. They could just take a picture, use Google Lens, and, you know, see what something is worth. And so as soon as anything interesting comes into a thrift store, it's gone. You know, someone's already nabbed it. And
Yeah, I know of a charity store near where I am, where the arsehole who had it, he owned a vintage clothing store that used to open at the weekends, and it was clear that he was managing the charity shop, right, for some major charity. Yeah. What he was doing, he was nabbing all the good clothing and putting it in his vintage stall around the corner. Literally only.
And I don't blame him. I don't blame him, honestly.
Well,
I don't.
Well, it is kind of
honestly that's why some people start charity shops. Like they basically you have all the plebs, and they don't mind. They like cheap shit. They're not picky. They just, you know, there's anyone that will come in and buy something for $1, $5, $10, whatever. They don't care about vintage shit. The people that want vintage stuff are going to pay for it. And the people that are addicted to finding good vintage clothing. I mean, I almost did this with some people where we were gonna buy a donation bin and put it in a church parking lot, and the church basically would get, you know, a percentage of something, you know, just so that we could try and get some good shit, you know, good vintage stuff. But
yeah, but at least you're being overtly. Sorry?
The addiction drives the business. I worked right. At so I don't know if you're in front of a computer right now. Are you?
I am.
Google Bobby from Boston.
Bobby from Boston, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's where I worked for 18 years. That was the top. It was a vintage store that was in the top 10 stores best stores of GQ and Esquire magazine.
Wow. Okay. Okay.
And that guy was like kind of like a father figure to me.
Bobby Garnett, is that him?
Yeah.
Yeah. Bobby Garnett. Okay. Bobby Garnett the third. Okay.
Yeah, Robert Garnett
the third. 2016. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I watched him take his last breath.
Oh dear. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, it was not pretty.
Okay. Kidney disease. I can see he's got a Wikipedia page. Okay. Sorry to hear that. Sorry to hear that.
But it's funny that
It was an
we're
Anglophile.
talking about minimalism because
Mm.
this was the opposite. My whole thing there was the complete opposite of minimalism.
Right.
I mean, the whole business was about how much, collecting more and more and more, having the best collection, having the best stuff, getting the most of it. And yeah, I mean, I remember I went to England with him once and on a buying trip,
Mm-hmm.
and we went to what was it? Some place called what was called Ragtex or something. And it was like a what they call a rag yard, and that's where a lot of the donation stuff would come through and get baled up and bundled up. And I mean, you wouldn't believe mountains of fucking clothes and it would get graded too. So they would actually grade out vintage stuff, and you wouldn't believe the amount of cool fucking shit that was there. And he bought it, by the bale, and we would pick, but there was pick stuff. We're there for hours picking, and so we would buy bales and bales of this shit. It was insane.
Actually
And he would go to
it was worthwhile doing transatlantic thrifting. Wow.
So he was the first. He was one of the first guys in America to not only popularize vintage, but to bring British vintage to America. And which was some of the most sought after stuff.
Well,
and
it is related to minimalism. I know it is related to minimalism because it's reusing stuff. So it is good in that sense. But it's interesting how sometimes the price is quite high as well. A lot of these vintage clothes, because they're so unique, or they're so scarce. It's a scarcity principle, isn't it? They're like highly sought after.
Dude, it's crazy. The shit that
nostalgic element.
When I first started going to his store, I was looking for stuff that I didn't think I'd be able to find anywhere. I thought this is just completely a lost in the past kind of thing. And he had it. And he had the cool English stuff I was looking for too, which I didn't think anyone else would know about, but he knew. He had tons of it, and he used to sell it for nothing. Like shit, I would go in there and get stuff for 20, 25 bucks a piece that now goes for hundreds.
Wow.
Hundreds of dollars.
Supply and demand.
Supply and demand. 20 years ago.
So yeah. How do you, generally speaking, Noodles? What are you like with being savvy of trying to avoid manipulation in advertising?
I don't know. I don't. Well, I don't know. What are we talking? Can you give me an example?
I mean, are you generally a very mindful consumer? Are you? Yeah, I'd say you are in terms of veganism and stuff like that. So yes, but what about financially speaking? Do you find yourself putting yourself in the red, or like maybe spending too much money on things you don't need?
Oh, absolutely. All the time, and that's because I still have kind of a clothing business going on.
Right.
And I'm still trying to build my clothing business, and I have a big deal that's about to happen where I'm collaborating with my manufacturers. They have an e-commerce platform now, and they have a premium price point clientele, and they're gonna bring me onto their website as a collaborator, and I'm gonna have basically my own they're building me my own web page off of theirs. So I'll get all of their clients going to my to my brand, which is a pretty. This is like the biggest thing that's happened to my brand, other than when I was able to sell it in Bobby's store. So, you know, I'm not, and I want to be a minimalist, but I'm completely doing the antithetical thing to living that lifestyle.
Why do you want to be a minimalist?
Because I don't know, like for me, it feels like the right thing to do, and it feels like it would simplify my life a lot more, and you know, I wouldn't, and also I just sink so much fucking money into this business, and until that website is up, it's like I'm not really getting much back, you know, but hopefully that'll change. But then again, let's say the website does really well, it's really successful. Well, then I'm going to be buying even more shit. Then I'm going to be even pouring even more into it.
Yeah. I suppose in terms of minimalism, I like it because, you know, obviously it stops you spending money that, you know, you could use elsewhere. It is good for reducing how much time you waste, you know, and also it's just generally much better for your health as well. Just be more mindful of what you're buying food wise, how you're using your time. Are you using your time for something that's negative or positive for you or for others? And often you'll find that you'll have more time to do healthy things like exercise or like meeting
Right.
people.
That's another thing. It's like, if I wasn't so worried about
your hobby
doing all this shit, I could just be, you know what I mean? I could just be like working out, and I don't know, like.
Well, I don't know, but I get the impression you might even work out too much with it. I don't know.
No, not lately.
Okay.
Not lately.
Well, there's an interesting thing. How do you manage your tendency to get addicted to working out? Because we were talking about this earlier. Minimalism is also being able to be moderate in what we do, but like finding the happy medium, like not going too much into. And I think even exercise, even things that are, you know, good for us.
I wish I was. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hold on, I have to put on my Bluetooth is being weird.
If anybody else wants to come on here, please do. Otherwise, the show won't keep going that long. I'm getting quite tired tonight because I've had a long day. So
There, I can hear you.
you can hear me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello? Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
No, I wish I was addicted to working out. And you know, there's another thing about like what we're talking about with like buying stuff is like I get this notion that when I'm like buying all kinds of like objects that I don't I don't need, I get this like this weird feeling of waste. It's like I feel like I've or like this. It's like a sadness. It's like an embarrassment kind of feeling sometimes. But yeah, it's like it feels embarrassing. It's like, why am I obsessed with like something so trivial, you know, so unimportant in the grand scheme of things, right?
Yeah, I understand. It is it is very hard in the modern age because we're getting more and more knowledge about things, and they do have a tendency to pull on our heartstrings or to really get us where it hurts. So they know our frailties. They know what we're worried about. Health wise. Also, trying to better ourselves somehow or other, and so they do try and they try to make us feel empty as well. You know, try to make us feel like we're missing out. And
Yeah.
that's a huge problem. This fear of missing out. Like if you don't get it, you're going to be somehow at a disadvantage in life. And you're going to be missing out on what everyone else is doing. You're going to be kind of almost ostracized by your buying decisions or lack of buying. Um, yeah. Oh God, it's
And
very
you know
hard,
what?
isn't
I
it?
do that to myself. Like, I don't even, because I don't have someone out there like trying to sell me. Like for example, I have this obsession with the vintage M48 um, military parka, and I have this thing where like I got one, I got like a couple of them, and I'm trying to fix them up because they're all beat up, and I pour like so much time and money and energy into these stupid like jackets that just like who gives a fuck, but for some reason I do. I don't know why, dude.
Well, this is
Like
related
why?
to what Divine Hazel says. Does it make you happy to do the work that you're trying to do then, Noodles?
I don't know. I think it's just I'm obsessed. I think I have an. It's probably part of my OCD and trying to like make achieve some silhouette, some look, some feeling. It's like an almost like an art thing. And there are these other kind of, I guess you call them clothing nerds out there that are like me, where they see something, they're like, oh, this is what is special about this thing, and wearing it makes me feel special for some reason. It makes me stand out, even though really how many people actually notice or care. It's really all in my mind, or it's all in that person's mind. Or like if two of those kind of people happen to run into each other and they see each other wearing something like that, they're like, oh, and they notice each other, say, oh, I know that's crazy that you are into that stuff too, but for the masses, like they don't give a fuck, dude. So most people are just like you know floating along with
Well, she
the
says
current.
you're kind of like an archivist. You're an archivist. You're preserving history in a small kind of way.
Oh. Then it's like who cares? But it's like this is what I'm saying. Like that's cool for the people that care, but how many people actually care? What does it do for society? Like other than the the little bit of novelty that the very small amount of people who like it get out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I do. I do. Guys, this is also on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, just type in "Finding Gnosis." You'll see the page, so you can go on there. It's an old page I had, but it's a dead page, so it's weird. It's no longer working, even though it used to work because it was dead for like years and nobody used it. It obviously wasn't the Finding Gnosis show. I just changed the name and deleted all the old content. But the page is actually dead, so it doesn't get any movement in the algorithm, even though it has that many. It has 3.9 thousand likes.
Anyway, I gotta run, but it's good talking to you, man.
Yeah, Noodles, thank you for sharing your thoughts, and good luck with the rest of your evening over there. Scott says he gets noodles, be it clothes, toys, or tools or stuff like that, can even hold memories, or even if it's just the art of restoring something. It's a good feeling. Yeah, yeah, I agree. Anybody want to come on here then as we're closing up? Divine, Scott, Tay, whoever is there, we will close up, and you guys can chat in the background if you want to. But feel free to come on now. I will close now, but I'll give you like 30 seconds to come on here. Right, Noodles, do you have any closing remarks on consumer buyer behavior, advertising, and minimalism? Noodles isn't there. I think he's gone already. Well, I will say be careful. Be careful how you are in terms of being aware of the media that is trying to seduce you, trying to get something out of your pocket, something that could be put to better use for you. Your money could be put to better use for you often, and in a more effective manner than spending it on stuff that the corporations are trying to get you to purchase. Be aware of the phenomenon of instant gratification, the fact that sometimes we are impulsive, sometimes we try to solve all our problems with immediacy, but life isn't that simple. Things take time, good things take time, so you won't get a cure immediately. You might feel good temporarily by buying something, but in the long term, it might actually be doing you damage. So be aware of what marketeers are doing to try to seduce you, to try and get you to part of your cash. Think about the utility of what you're purchasing. Is it good for your mind, body, and for your future? Does it offer a good return on investment? And that's up to you how you decide that. What is the last thing I impulsively bought? D&W. This is a good question. I impulsively bought. It's gonna be something like probably something in a hardware store where something was an offer and I didn't really need it. But I still bought it because I thought, well, I might need it one day. And it was tile spacers, actually. I didn't need the tile spacers, but they were at a good. I thought they were a very good cheap price, and I bought a few packets of them. Even though I don't need to do any DIY at the moment, I ordered them for in case I do need them. They will come in useful. So yeah, I got. It was at least it was a reduced item. But yeah, reduced item shelves sometimes get me when I'm in a department store or a hardware shop or a supermarket. I do have a tendency sometimes to buy things because they got a reduced price, and that's not always sensible because sometimes I don't use them. In fact, a lot of the time, that's something I have to be mindful of. But yeah, thank you for joining us this evening. It was quite chilled out. I hope it wasn't too minimalistic in terms of content. But anyway, if it was, well, it's all just part of the minimalism that I'm trying to embrace. But yeah, have a good week. It is Monday night, so I hope the rest of your week goes well. We'll be back around on Wednesday, all things going well, where we will hopefully look into society and the illusions that exist within it. We have to do a little bit of research in regards to content of what we're going to put out on Wednesday. But we'll look at the illusions that exist in society, be it in culture, politics, religion, the kind of general kind of outlook of what reality is, what life is. Maybe that's what we'll look into. So illusions prevalent in society. Brother Marcus says, thank you. Have a good week. Thank you to you too, Brother Marcus, as always, for joining in. I look forward to seeing you next time. And it's Tayson Day. Tayson says, can you react to videos? see there's some video about money that might be about consumerism. Yeah, not. I'm actually very tired now. It's like 5 to midnight. I've got to go to bed because I've got to be up early and I've had a long day. So I am actually wrecked. So unfortunately, although sometimes I am able to fire on all cylinders, now is not the time. I am completely well fucked. So we'll leave it there. Thank you for joining in, and do be well, be lucky, and look after yourself and others. I'm going to end the stream. I'm pressing the button now, and again now, because you have to press it twice to make sure it ends. Bye, bye, bye.